Good evening. Tonight's broadcast is, as you might suspect, a work of fiction. There are, to our knowledge, no alien artifacts radiating psychic signals from city centers, no reanimated corpses stalking quarantine zones, and no global cult orchestrating humanity's transformation into something beyond recognition. The voices you are about to hear have been generated by artificial intelligence. However, the story itself was written and directed by a human mind. These broadcasts, while imagined, are rendered with unnerving familiarity, and any resemblance to actual persons, living or deceased, is purely coincidental. Enjoy the show.
The year is 2025. 10 years ago, on mankind's first mission to Mars, a discovery was made that would alter the course of human history. Buried beneath the red dust of our neighboring planet, an artifact of unmistakably alien origin. Scientists called it the Black Marker. In the years that followed, a new religion formed with unprecedented speed. The Unity Accord grew from fringe movement to global phenomenon. Their belief that the marker isn't just an alien relic, but a key to human evolution, a bridge between what we are and what we might become. Their influence spread through laboratories, boardrooms, and governments, all working toward a singular vision they call convergence. Tonight, in Times Square, millions gather to witness what the Unity Accord promises will be humanity's greatest triumph, the unveiling of their own replica of the Black Marker. They believe it will usher in a new age of understanding. What they don't realize is that they stand at the threshold of extinction. For in the next few hours, days, and weeks, you will bear witness to humanity's final broadcast, a transmission documenting our species' last moments, played on eternal loop across the cosmos. You're traveling with us now to a place where science and faith collide, where evolution takes an unimaginable path, a journey into a dimension not of salvation but extinction, where humanity's greatest achievement becomes its final broadcast. Welcome to the end of everything we know.
Before the celebrations, before the monument, there were warnings. What the public didn't know then, and what many still refuse to understand, is that the anomalies began long before the world ever saw the marker. The first research team logged everything. Equipment malfunctions, unexplainable power surges, crew members reporting hallucinations and violent mood swings. Tissue samples exposed to the artifact began to change at the cellular level. The official reports deleted those details, rewritten to sound routine, but the raw data, the real data, told a different story. Humanity's downfall began as its proudest moment. 10 years ago, during a deep space mining operation beneath the Martian surface, we uncovered something impossible, a structure of unknown origin, carved from materials that don't exist anywhere in nature, the Black Marker. Its discovery was classified immediately, but word has a way of spreading, especially when it whispers to those who listen. Tonight, in the heart of one of the world's largest cities, surrounded by millions of people, they're about to activate it. The official story is celebration and unity. The reality, as we would soon discover, was something else entirely. But in this moment, standing in Times Square with the covered monument looming overhead and the crowd singing in anticipation, no one knew, no one suspected. They were celebrating humanity's future, unaware they were witnessing the beginning of its end. The Unity Accord formed in the wake of those leaks, built on the belief that the marker represented alien contact and human destiny intertwined. What started as a small group of scientists and spiritualists grew exponentially. They claimed the marker was calling to humanity, that its discovery was no accident but rather an invitation. Governments tried to contain the information, but the Unity Accord had resources and determination. Somehow, they gained access to classified data. Somehow, they acquired the means to build their own version.
Good evening, I'm Isaac Brennan. Tonight we begin with a story 10 years in the making. Times Square has transformed into what organizers are calling the largest gathering in New York history, as the world marks a decade since humanity's most profound discovery, the Black Marker, found buried beneath the Martian surface in 2015, changed everything we thought we knew about our place in the universe. Tonight, that discovery comes home. The celebration centers around an unprecedented unveiling by the Unity Accord. For months, the organization has promised something they call a testament to human achievement in spiritual evolution. Security has been extraordinary, with estimates putting the crowd at over 2 million people packed into Midtown Manhattan. Nicole Clark is live in Times Square. Nicole, what are you seeing down there?
Isaac, I've covered major events in this city for years, and I've never seen anything like this. The energy here is almost overwhelming. Behind me, you can see the massive structure they've kept under wraps for the past 6 months. It's covered in black fabric that stretches at least 20 stories high, right in the heart of Times Square. The crowd extends in every direction as far as I can see. What's striking is the diversity here. You have families with children, scientists in formal wear, members of the Unity Accord in their ceremonial robes, and thousands of people who simply wanted to be part of history. The atmosphere feels almost religious. People are holding candles, some are singing, others are just standing in silence, staring at that covered monument. Security checkpoints have been processing people for hours, but no one seems to mind the wait. They're calling this Convergence Eve.
Nicole, we're hearing that the Unity Accord leadership is about to address the crowd. What can you tell us about the organization's role in tonight's event?
The Unity Accord has been the driving force behind this entire celebration. They've coordinated with city officials, federal agencies, and international delegations to make this happen. What started as a fringe group 10 years ago has grown into one of the most influential organizations on the planet. Their membership includes prominent scientists, political leaders, and millions of followers who believe the marker discovery represents humanity's next evolutionary step. Their spokesman released a statement earlier today saying the replica took 5 years to construct using data from the original Mars expedition. They're calling it a bridge between worlds, a symbol of unity and transformation. The exact specifications of how they built it remain classified, but sources tell us they had cooperation from multiple governments and access to the original survey data from the Mars site. Hold on, I'm seeing movement on the main stage. I think we're about to hear from their leadership.
Brothers and sisters, faithful of the Unity Accord, witnesses to this sacred moment. 10 years ago, humanity discovered something profound beneath the Martian soil, the black marker, a gift from beyond the stars, a message written in geometric perfection, a promise of transformation. For too long, governments have hidden this truth from you, locked away the marker in secret facilities, denied humanity its birthright. But the Unity Accord believes in transparency. We believe in sharing the path to convergence with all who would walk it. And tonight, we bring that path home. Behold the red marker, constructed from the sacred geometries of the original, built with devotion and precision, a perfect replica that will guide us toward our destiny, toward unity, toward the end of separation and suffering. The marker is not merely stone. It is not simply an artifact. It is a beacon, a signal that calls to the fundamental essence of biological life. It speaks to ourselves, to the deepest parts of ourselves that remember we were never meant to be alone. That remember we are fragments yearning to become whole. Some will call this dangerous. Some will say we are tampering with forces beyond our understanding. But I say to you, fear is the voice of separation. Fear is what keeps us isolated, trapped in individual consciousness, suffering the agony of being one instead of many. The marker offers liberation. Through convergence, we will transcend the limitations of singular existence. Our consciousnesses will merge. Our boundaries will dissolve. We will become something greater than the sum of our parts. We will become unified. We will become whole. We will become eternal. Death will lose its meaning. Individual mortality will be irrelevant because we will exist as collective, as unified awareness that spans beyond flesh, beyond time, beyond the prison of singular perspective. This is not the end. This is the beginning of humanity's true evolution, the beginning of convergence, the beginning of us. Let the signal begin. Let the marker sing. Let all who hear its call know that transformation awaits, that unity awaits, that we await. Make us whole, make us whole, make us whole, make us whole.
That was the Unity Accord's leader, Randall Carr, speaking at Times Square as the organization revealed their black marker replica to the world. The ceremony concluded approximately 30 minutes ago with what witnesses are describing as an overwhelming display of emotion from the assembled crowd. The replica stands 20 stories tall in the heart of Times Square and will remain as a permanent monument, according to Unity Accord officials. We're going to continue monitoring the situation in Times Square. Joining us now by phone is Dr. Benjamin Hammond, Chief Scientific Advisor to the Unity Accord. Dr. Hammond, thank you for taking the time during what must be an incredibly significant evening for your organization.
Isaac, thank you for having me. This is indeed a momentous occasion, not just for the Unity Accord, but for all of humanity. What we unveil tonight represents years of dedicated work and an unwavering belief in human potential.
Dr. Hammond, you've described this replica as more than just a monument. Can you explain what you mean by transformative properties?
The original marker discovered on Mars wasn't simply an artifact. Our research suggests it's a form of advanced technology that operates on principles we're only beginning to understand. It appears to interact with biological systems at the cellular level, perhaps even at the quantum level. The replica we've constructed isn't just a symbolic representation. We've used the original survey data, mineral compositions, geometric specifications, everything we could access from the Mars expedition to create something functionally identical. What makes tonight so extraordinary is that for the first time, we're bringing that technology directly to humanity, rather than keeping it locked away in research facilities or buried on another planet. The Unity Accord believes that understanding the marker is key to our evolution as a species. We call it convergence, the moment when humanity recognizes its true place in the cosmic pattern. Tonight is the beginning of that recognition.
That's an ambitious claim, Dr. Hammond. There's been significant controversy surrounding your organization's access to classified research data. Critics argue that replicating an alien artifact without fully understanding it poses unknown risks. How do you respond to those concerns?
Fear of the unknown is natural, but it shouldn't prevent progress. Every major advancement in human history involved risk. The original marker has been studied for a decade with no harmful effects reported. What we're doing tonight is sharing that discovery with the world rather than allowing it to remain in the hands of a few government agencies. Transparency, not secrecy, is how we move forward as a species. I understand the skepticism, but I encourage people to witness what happens tonight with open minds. The marker isn't a threat, it's an invitation to understand ourselves and our universe in completely new ways. The energy readings we've recorded, the mathematical patterns encoded in its structure, the way it seems to resonate with biological systems, all of this points to something profound, something intentional.
Dr. Hammond, we're going to let you return to the ceremony. Thank you for your insights. We'll be monitoring the unveiling and providing continuous coverage throughout the evening. For viewers just joining us, we're covering the 10th anniversary celebration of the black marker discovery, centered around a massive replica being unveiled in Times Square by the Unity Accord. We'll bring you live coverage as events unfold. Stay with us.
Within 24 hours of the unveiling, the first signs appeared. Not dramatic at first, not the kind of thing that triggers immediate alarm. A spike in emergency room visits, scattered reports of violence near Times Square, the kind of incidents that happen in any major city, especially after a massive public gathering. But there were details in those early reports, details that didn't make it into the morning broadcasts, that should have told us something was wrong. Hospital staff reported patients with self-inflicted wounds that seemed impossible, tissue damage that looked like advanced necrosis, but the victims were still alive when they arrived. First responders described behavior that didn't match any known psychiatric condition. And then there were the morgues. Bodies that had been pronounced dead, properly documented and stored, were found in different positions hours later. Attendants reported sounds coming from sealed drawers, movement where there shouldn't be movement. The official response was predictable. Mass hysteria, crowd-related stress, possible contamination from food vendors. Anything but the truth that was staring them in the face. The replica marker, that massive red monument now standing exposed in Times Square, was doing exactly what it was designed to do. It was singing, broadcasting on frequencies we couldn't hear but ourselves could. And within a 5-block radius of that structure, something fundamental was changing in human biology.
Good morning. Breaking news from Manhattan, where authorities are investigating a series of violent incidents near Times Square following last night's celebration. At least 17 people are dead and dozens more hospitalized with what officials are calling unusual injuries. Nicole Clark has been at the scene since the early morning hours. Nicole, what's the latest?
Isaac, the situation here is chaotic. I'm standing outside Mount Sinai West, where ambulances have been arriving steadily since 3 a.m. Hospital staff tell me they've never seen anything like this. The injuries don't match typical assault patterns. We're talking about trauma that emergency physicians are struggling to explain. Deep lacerations, massive tissue damage, some victims with injuries that look like they were inflicted with bladed weapons, but witnesses say the attackers used only their hands. What's more disturbing is the behavior of the victims before they died. EMTs responding to calls reported people exhibiting extreme aggression, attacking anyone nearby with what responders described as inhuman strength. Several of the deceased had attended last night's ceremony. Family members say they complained of severe headaches and nosebleeds hours after returning home. Then the violent outburst began. Police have cordoned off several blocks around Times Square as a precaution, but they're not calling it a quarantine, at least not yet.
Nicole, there are reports of people claiming to hear sounds coming from the marker itself. What can you tell us about that?
I've spoken with several witnesses who attended the ceremony Multiple people describe hearing what they call singing or humming coming from the monument after it was unveiled. They say it's not a sound you hear with your ears, more like something you feel in your chest or your bones. Medical staff at nearby hospitals report patients saying similar things. Some are claiming the marker is calling to them. Officials are attributing this to mass psychogenic illness, a kind of collective hysteria brought on by the size of the crowd and the emotional intensity of the event. But Isaac, I have to tell you, standing here blocks away from Times Square, some of the first responders I've spoken with off the record are genuinely frightened. They're describing things they can't explain. Victims who should be incapacitated from blood loss still fighting, still trying to attack people. One EMT told me about a patient who was pronounced dead at the scene, but when they were loading the body into the ambulance, they swear it moved. They're calling it muscle spasms, post-mortem contractions, but the way he described it, he didn't sound convinced by his own explanation.
We're joined now by phone by Dr. Michael Mercer from the Centers for Disease Control. Dr. Mercer, you've been briefed on the situation in Manhattan. What's your assessment?
Isaac, thank you for having me. Based on the preliminary reports we've received, this appears to be a case of crowd-related stress compounded by possible mass psychogenic illness. Large gatherings of this magnitude inevitably produce elevated stress hormones, sleep deprivation, dehydration. We're looking at over 2 million people concentrated in a small area for an extended period. That creates a perfect environment for stress-induced medical emergencies. As for the reports of unusual behavior or injuries, we need to be careful about drawing conclusions from preliminary observations made in high-stress emergency situations. First responders are doing extraordinary work, but initial assessments in chaotic environments can be misleading. What might appear unusual in the moment often has perfectly rational explanations once we have time to properly examine the evidence. We're sending a team to evaluate the situation, but I want to emphasize that there's no indication of an infectious outbreak or biological hazard at this time.
Dr. Mercer, what about the reports of people experiencing symptoms after being in proximity to the marker monument? The headaches, nosebleeds, claims of hearing sounds that others can't detect?
Those symptoms are consistent with stress and fatigue. The human mind is susceptible to suggestion, particularly in emotionally charged environments. When you have millions of people focused on a single object they've been told has transformative properties, it's not surprising that some individuals report unusual sensations. This is classic psychogenic response. The brain convinces the body it's experiencing something that isn't physically present. We saw similar patterns during previous mass gatherings, though admittedly not at this scale. I understand there's concern about the monument itself, but the Unity Accord provided extensive documentation about the replica's construction. It's essentially an inert structure made of synthesized materials based on spectroscopic analysis of the original Mars artifact. There's no mechanism by which it could emit harmful radiation or induce physical symptoms. What we're seeing is the power of belief and expectation, not any actual threat from the monument.
But Dr. Mercer, we're talking about 17 confirmed deaths and dozens of hospitalizations within hours of the unveiling. That seems like more than just stress and suggestion.
17 deaths in a crowd of 2 million people over a 12-hour period is tragically, not statistically unusual. We see similar casualty rates at large festivals and sporting events. What makes this feel different is the concentration of incidents in a specific area and the timing relative to a highly publicized event that creates a narrative in people's minds, a connection between the monument and the casualties that may not actually exist. Correlation doesn't imply causation. We need to conduct proper investigations before jumping to conclusions about what's causing these incidents. I want to assure the public that we're taking this seriously. CDC personnel are coordinating with local hospitals and the NYPD to gather comprehensive data. We'll be examining every case individually, looking for common factors, toxicology reports, any evidence of contamination or infectious agents. But based on what we know right now, there's no reason to panic. This appears to be a tragic but explainable series of events related to crowd dynamics and environmental stress.
Dr. Mercer, one final question. Should people who attended last night's ceremony and are now experiencing symptoms seek medical attention?
Anyone experiencing severe symptoms, particularly violent behavior, extreme headaches, or unexplained injuries should absolutely contact their healthcare provider or go to an emergency room. But I want to emphasize that the vast majority of people who attended will experience nothing more than normal fatigue. Don't let fear drive you to overwhelm our healthcare system with non-emergency visits. If you feel fine, you almost certainly are fine. This isn't a public health emergency. It's a situation that requires careful investigation and measured response.
Dr. Mercer, thank you for your time. We'll continue to monitor the situation as it develops. Nicole, are authorities releasing any additional information about the specific nature of these attacks?
Police are being very careful about what they share, Isaac. What I can tell you is that several of the incidents involved attackers who were subdued by multiple officers or bystanders, but continued struggling with what witnesses describe as impossible strength. There's video circulating on social media, though we haven't been able to independently verify it, showing what appears to be a violent altercation near 7th Avenue. In the footage, an individual continues moving aggressively even after sustaining injuries that should have been incapacitating. We've also learned that at least 3 bodies were found in morgue facilities in positions different from where they were placed. Staff initially thought it was human error, that they'd simply misremembered the original positioning. But the facilities have security footage and proper documentation procedures. Something moved those bodies, and the staff members who discovered the discrepancies are asking to be reassigned. They won't talk on camera, but off the record, they're scared. The NYPD has increased patrols around Times Square and near the Marker Monument. They're calling it routine security following a major event, but the presence feels heavier than usual. More tactical units, more barriers, officers in protective gear that you typically don't see at crowd control operations. They're preparing for something, even if they won't publicly acknowledge what that something might be.
Nicole Clark reporting live from Manhattan. We'll continue to follow this developing story throughout the day. The NYPD has scheduled a press conference for this afternoon to address public concerns about safety near Times Square. We'll bring you that coverage live as it happens. Stay with us.
Hey, it's me. I know you're watching this. I just wanted to say, I'm okay. Don't worry about me. Everything's gonna be fine.
By the second day, denial became impossible. The thing they found in the hospital basement changed everything. Not a victim, not a survivor. Something else. Something that had been human once, maybe 12 hours earlier, but wasn't human anymore. The transformation wasn't complete when they found it, which somehow made it worse. You could still see who it had been. The face was recognizable from the ID badge still clipped to what remained of the chest, but the arms had elongated, bones breaking and reforming into blade-like appendages. The ribcage had split open, spreading wide like something was trying to escape from inside. It was still alive, still moving. The sounds it made weren't screams exactly, more like wet breathing mixed with clicking noises from a throat that had restructured itself into something that shouldn't exist. Security footage showed how it had gotten there. The patient who died during the night, body tagged and moved to the morgue. Then something else arrived, Something that flew through an air duct, barely visible on camera, but you could hear the leathery wing beats. It landed on the corpse. What happened next took less than 3 minutes. The dead man's chest cavity opened from the inside. Not cut, pushed open by something forcing its way in. A flying creature, what we would later learn to call an infector, drove something into the corpse like a proboscis. You could see the body convulsing on the table, jerking with movements that were involuntary, bones breaking with sharp cracks that the audio picked up clearly, flesh tearing and reforming. When it stood up 3 minutes later, it wasn't dead anymore. It was something new, something hungry. The marker signal had been broadcasting for 36 hours at that point. The psychic frequency was causing cellular breakdown in anyone exposed too long. Living tissue destabilizing at the molecular level. Bodies preparing themselves for transformation even before death. The infectors were drawn to it, following that signal like moths to a flame. Finding the dead and the dying and making them into soldiers was something that was just beginning. By the time security found the creature in the basement, by the time they called it in, there were already dozens more. They just didn't know it yet.
We're interrupting regular programming for breaking news from Manhattan. Authorities have established a quarantine zone around multiple blocks near Times Square following what officials are calling an unprecedented biological hazard. We're going to go directly to Nicole Clark, who has been attempting to reach a secure location. Nicole, can you hear us?
Isaac, I'm here. I'm outside what used to be the quarantine perimeter, but that perimeter just expanded. There are hazmat teams everywhere, military vehicles, helicopters overhead. I can hear sustained gunfire coming from inside the zone. Not single shots. Automatic weapons fire that's been continuous for the past 10 minutes. I managed to get audio from a police radio frequency before they encrypted it. Officers were screaming about a hostile at a hospital facility. They said it was moving impossibly fast, that bullets weren't stopping it. Then the transmission cut to static and didn't come back.
Nicole, what can you tell us about the official statement from the Department of Homeland Security?
The official story is a chemical leak from a research facility. They're saying contaminated materials from the Mars survey data storage site were improperly handled during the Unity Accord's replica construction. But Isaac, that doesn't explain the gunfire. That doesn't explain why they're setting up machine gun positions at every intersection. I'm moving toward the subway entrance where some of the creatures went. Oh God, there's something moving between the buildings. It looks like a person, but the proportions are wrong. The arms are too long, and there's something protruding from the chest. No, wait, the chest is open. The rib cage is spread wide, and there are blades where the hands should be. It's running toward the barricade. The soldiers are firing. I can see the impacts. It's still coming. It's not stopping.
Nicole, you need to move back to a safe distance immediately.
The bullets are hitting it. I can see the wounds, but it's not slowing down. It just jumped over the barricade, 10 feet straight up like it weighed nothing. The soldiers are scattering. It's moving toward a group of civilians. There's blood, so much blood. The blade arms are cutting through people like paper.
Nicole, are you still there? Nicole, if you can hear this, get your crew to a safe location. We're joined now by phone by Dr. Benjamin Hammond of the Unity Accord. Dr. Hammond, authorities are linking this situation to materials used in constructing your organization's replica marker. What's your response?
Isaac, what we're witnessing isn't contamination. It's transformation. This is precisely what the marker was designed to facilitate. The cellular reorganization, the restructuring of biological matter into new forms. This is the beginning of convergence. What authorities are calling a hazard is actually an evolutionary breakthrough.
Dr. Hammond, people are dying. Whatever is happening in that quarantine zone has killed dozens of people in the past few hours. You're describing this as evolution?
Death is a transition, not an ending. What you're seeing is the natural response to the marker's signal. Human cells breaking down and rebuilding into something more efficient, more purposeful. Yes, there are casualties in any transformation, but those casualties serve a greater function. Each converted organism adds to the collective, increases the total biomass available for convergence.
We have reestablished communication with Nicole. Nicole, can you hear me?
Isaac, I need to interrupt. Something else just came through the barricade. It's massive, easily 8 feet tall with armor-like growths covering most of the body. The arms are enormous, grotesquely muscled with bone protrusions at the joints. It's not running, it's just walking through the gunfire like it doesn't feel anything. More of the smaller ones are appearing, the ones with the blade arms. They're coming from the buildings inside the quarantine zone. Different buildings, at least 6 of them that I can see. They're moving fast. leaping from surface to surface. One just jumped from a third-story window and landed in a crouch that should have shattered its legs, but it stood up and charged. The military is falling back again. They can't hold the perimeter.
Dr. Hammond, you're still on the line. What you're describing as evolution and unity looks like wholesale slaughter from where we're standing. Is there any way to stop this process once it's begun?
Stop it? Why would we want to stop it? This is exactly what the marker was designed to accomplish. Convergence doesn't have a reverse switch. Once the signal reaches sufficient strength, once enough biomass begins converting, the process becomes self-sustaining. We passed the point of reversal approximately 6 hours ago when the first infector reached the morgue facilities. I realize this is difficult for people to accept. We're conditioned to fear death, to resist change. But the marker offers something beyond individual survival. It offers immortality through unity. Every person who transforms becomes part of something larger than themselves. This is what the original marker was meant to teach us on Mars. This is what we're finally bringing home.
We're going to continue our coverage of the Manhattan crisis. The Pentagon has just released a statement confirming military deployment to establish containment around what they're now officially calling an active threat zone. All bridges and tunnels leading out of Manhattan are under military control. We'll have more information as it becomes available. Stay with us. We interrupt this broadcast for a special address from the President of the United States. We're going live now to the White House.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States.
My fellow Americans, look, I'm going to be straight with you tonight. We're facing a situation in Manhattan that, frankly, nobody saw coming. And I've been doing this a long time, longer than most people remember. But this is something entirely different. You know, when I was a young senator, we used to watch these movies about monsters, Night of the Living Dead, The Crazies, George Romero films, classic films, really terrific films. And we'd sit there thinking, thank God this is just Hollywood. Well, guess what? Here we are. And let me tell you something. Those movies didn't prepare anyone for what our soldiers and first responders are dealing with right now in New York. Now, I want to be clear about the situation. We have a biological hazard in Lower Manhattan. The exact nature of this hazard is still being determined by our best scientists. But what we know is this: people are dying. And some of those people, after they die, they're not staying dead. I know how that sounds. Believe me, I know. But we have to deal with reality here. The military has established a quarantine zone around Times Square. Our soldiers are doing an incredible job. Just incredible. The bravery I'm seeing from these men and women, it's extraordinary. They're facing something that shouldn't exist, and they're holding the line. But I'm not going to stand here and tell you this is under control. It's not. Not yet. These creatures, and I hate calling them that because they used to be people, they're unlike anything we've encountered before. They don't respond to normal methods. You can't just shoot them and expect them to stop. Our military has discovered you have to dismember them. And that's a difficult thing to ask soldiers to do. A very difficult thing. Now, some of you are asking how this happened. How did we get here? That's a fair question. That's a very fair question. And the answer involves this organization called the Unity Accord. They built this monument in Times Square, a replica of something we found on Mars 10 years ago. And somehow this thing is connected to what's happening now. Look, I'm going to level with you. There were oversights. There were failures in our regulatory systems. We didn't take the threat seriously enough. We thought this was just religious expression, freedom of assembly. We didn't imagine anyone would actually build something that could cause this kind of catastrophe. That's on us. That's on my administration. And I take full responsibility. But here's what I want you to understand. We're not giving up. We're not backing down. This is America, folks. We don't quit when things get tough. We beat the Nazis. We put a man on the moon. We've overcome challenges that seemed impossible. And we're going to overcome this too. Now, I've been briefed by the Pentagon, by the CDC, by FEMA, and they're telling me we have maybe 2 weeks to get this under control before it spreads beyond Manhattan. 2 weeks. That's not a lot of time. But we're mobilizing every resource we have, every soldier, every scientist, every piece of equipment. I want to talk directly to the people still in Manhattan for a moment. If you can hear me, if you're able to evacuate, do it now. Don't wait for official orders. Don't pack your belongings. Just get out. Get to the bridges. Get to the tunnels that are still open. Get your families to safety. The military will screen you. They have to. But if you're healthy, if you're not showing symptoms, they'll let you through. And to the families who've lost people in this crisis, I'm sorry. I'm so deeply sorry. No words can express what you're going through. Losing someone is hard enough, but losing them like this, that's unimaginable. Just know that we're doing everything in our power to make sure no one else has to experience what you're experiencing. You know, there's this movie I keep thinking about, 28 Days Later. British film, came out in 2002. It's about a virus that turns people into these rage-filled monsters. And the thing about that movie, the thing that always stuck with me, was how fast everything fell apart, how quickly civilization broke down. We're not there yet. We're not even close, but we need to take this seriously. Every single one of us. I want to address the Unity Accord directly. If you're watching this, and I know you are, you need to understand what you've done. Whether you intended this or not, your actions have caused a catastrophe. Thousands are dead. More are dying every hour. And that monument you built, that marker, it needs to come down. If you have any information about how to stop this, any knowledge about what that thing does or how it works, you need to come forward. Now. Not tomorrow, now. To everyone else in the country, I need you to remain calm. I know what you're seeing on the news is frightening. Believe me, it frightens me too. But panic doesn't help anyone. What helps is community. What helps is taking care of each other. If you have family or friends evacuating from New York, open your homes to them. If you have resources to spare, donate them. If you have skills that can help, volunteer them. This is a test of who we are as a nation, as a people. And I truly believe that we're going to pass this test, because that's what Americans do. We come together in crisis. We help each other. We persevere. I'm not going to lie to you and say I know how this ends. I don't. Nobody does. But I can tell you this, we're going to fight. We're going to fight with everything we have until we either win or there's nothing left to fight for. That's my promise to you. That's my commitment as your president. In closing, I want to say this. To the soldiers holding the line in Manhattan, thank you. To the first responders risking their lives, thank you. To the scientists working around the clock to understand this threat, thank you. And to every American watching this tonight, stay strong, stay together, stay hopeful. We've faced darkness before, and we've always found our way back to the light. May God bless the victims of this tragedy. May God bless our brave servicemen and women. And may God bless the United States of America. Thank you, and good night.
That was the president addressing the nation about the ongoing Manhattan crisis. We're getting reports that the quarantine zone has expanded by 3 city blocks in the past hour. Military officials are urging all remaining civilians in Lower Manhattan to evacuate immediately. We'll continue our coverage throughout the night. Stay with us.
Brothers and sisters, I want to speak to you this morning about fear. Real fear, not the kind we experience watching the news from a safe distance, but the kind that reaches into our homes and makes us question everything we thought we understood about this world. Many of you came here today carrying that fear. I can see it in your faces. I can hear it in the prayers you whispered before service began. You're afraid for your families, afraid for your neighbors, afraid of what's happening just miles from where we sit right now. I'm not going to stand here and tell you that fear is weakness. Fear is human. Fear is natural when we witness the kind of suffering and chaos we've seen these past few days. When we hear about people being transformed into something unrecognizable, when we watch our city being torn apart by forces we don't understand, the Psalms are filled with fear. David cried out in terror many times. Job questioned God from the depths of his suffering. Even Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane felt such anguish that he sweat drops of blood. Fear doesn't make you unfaithful, it makes you honest. But I also want to speak to you about what stands against that fear, not denial, not false hope, but genuine faith in a God who has never abandoned his people, even in their darkest hours. What we're facing right now, this tragedy unfolding in Manhattan, it isn't divine punishment. Let me be absolutely clear about that. Some will tell you that God is using this crisis to judge humanity, that these transformations and deaths are part of some cosmic plan to cleanse the world. That's not the God I know. That's not the God revealed in Scripture. Our God is a God of love, of mercy, of redemption. He doesn't delight in suffering. He grieves with us when we grieve. What's happening in Manhattan is the result of human choices, dangerous choices made by people who thought they could harness something they didn't understand. The Unity Accord believes they're serving a higher purpose, that they're facilitating some kind of evolution, but transformation achieved through death and violence, through the destruction of God's image in humanity, that isn't evolution, that's corruption. That's taking the sacred gift of life and twisting it into something unrecognizable, and it grieves the heart of God to watch his children suffer this way. So where is God in all of this? That's the question I know many of you are asking. Where is God when people are dying? Where is God when families are being torn apart? Where is God when evil seems to be winning? I'll tell you where he is. He's in the first responders who are running toward danger instead of away from it. He's in the doctors and nurses working impossible hours to save anyone they can. He's in the neighbors helping neighbors evacuate. He's in the soldiers holding the line to protect the innocent. He's in every act of courage, every moment of compassion, every sacrifice made for the sake of others. God is not absent. He's working through anyone willing to be his hands and feet in this crisis. And he's here right now in this sanctuary with us, offering us exactly what we need to face what's coming. Not superstitious protection, not magical immunity, but strength. Peace that transcends understanding, hope that doesn't depend on circumstances, love that casts out fear. The Bible tells us that perfect love casts out fear, not because love makes us blind to danger, but because it gives us something stronger than danger to hold on to. When we root ourselves in God's love, when we remember that nothing can separate us from that love, fear loses its power to control us. I want to pray for everyone still trapped in the quarantine zone, for the families separated from their loved ones, for the medical staff treating the injured, for the military personnel trying to contain the spread, for the scientists working to understand what's happening, and yes, even for the members of the Unity Accord who genuinely believe they're serving some higher purpose. They're deceived, they're causing unimaginable harm. But they're still God's children, still human beings capable of redemption if they turn from this path. We pray for their eyes to be opened, for their hearts to be changed, for them to see the destruction they've caused and choose differently. But I also want to pray for us, for this community, because we have a choice to make about how we respond to this crisis. We can let fear drive us to paranoia and selfishness. We can hoard resources and lock our doors and decide that survival means abandoning everyone outside our immediate circle. Or we can choose the harder path, the path of faith, The path that says even in the darkest circumstances, we're called to love our neighbors as ourselves, to care for the vulnerable, to share what we have with those who have nothing, to be the light that shines in the darkness. Some of you are going to leave here today and go help with evacuation efforts. Some of you are going to open your homes to displaced families. Some of you are going to donate supplies or volunteer at emergency shelters. Some of you are going to simply go home and hold your families close and pray. All of those responses are faithful responses. God isn't asking us to be heroes. He's asking us to be faithful with whatever gifts and resources and courage He's given us. Do what you can. Help where you're able. And trust that He's doing what only He can do. I won't lie to you and say everything is going to be fine. I don't know how this ends. I don't know if the military can contain this outbreak. I don't know if scientists can find a way to reverse what's been done. What I do know is that God is still on His throne, that His purposes are still unfolding even when we can't see them, that He still holds every one of us in the palm of His hand, and that no matter what happens, no matter how dark things become, His love is stronger than death itself. That's not wishful thinking. That's resurrection faith. The same faith that looked at a sealed tomb and believed anyway. The same faith that has sustained God's people through every crisis in history. So go from here today carrying that faith, not as a shield against reality, but as a foundation to stand on when reality becomes overwhelming. Remember that you're not alone. You have this community. You have each other. You have a God who promised to never leave you or forsake you, and He keeps His promises. Love each other fiercely. Pray without ceasing. Act with courage when courage is needed, and with wisdom when wisdom is required. And trust that somehow, in ways we may never fully understand, God is still working all things together for good. Even this, even now, may His peace be with you all.
I miss you. It's been so long since we talked. Do you remember our last conversation? I do. I remember everything.
One week. That's how long it took for the outbreak to evolve from isolated incidents to full-scale war on the streets of Manhattan. The military established kill zones. Mandatory evacuation orders for everyone within a 10-block radius of Times Square. But the creatures, the necromorphs as some were starting to call them, they were adapting faster than anyone anticipated. New varieties appeared almost daily, each one more specialized, more efficient at what it was designed to do. And what they were designed to do was convert living biomass into more of themselves. The marker's signal was strengthening with each conversion. You could measure it now on equipment. A low-frequency pulse that seemed to resonate through concrete and steel. People living miles from Times Square reported hearing it in their sleep. A humming that vibrated in their chest cavities. Some claimed it was beautiful. Others said it made them want to claw their way out of their own skin. Medical facilities outside the quarantine zone started seeing patients with cellular degradation. Tissue breaking down at the molecular level. Bodies preparing themselves for transformation even before death arrived. And then there were the faithful, members of the Unity Accord, walking deliberately into the infection zone, not running from the creatures, walking toward them, arms spread wide, singing hymns about convergence and unity. The military tried to stop them at first, turned them back at checkpoints. But there were too many, hundreds of believers making pilgrimages to the marker, offering themselves willingly to the process. You could hear their voices on the wind, chanting in perfect unison as the infectors found them, as their bodies convulsed and reformed, as they joined the swarm that was consuming Manhattan block by block. The infected didn't eat their victims. That would have been simpler somehow. They dismantled them, tore them apart with systematic efficiency, and left the pieces scattered for the infectors to find. Every corpse became another soldier. Every death amplified the signal. The marker was building an army from the city itself, and we were running out of ways to fight back.
We're now 1 week into what officials are calling the Manhattan crisis. The quarantine zone has expanded to cover most of lower and midtown Manhattan. Casualty estimates range from 5 to 10,000, though authorities acknowledge those numbers are likely significantly higher. Military forces have established defensive perimeters at multiple locations, but the situation continues to deteriorate. Nicole Clark has been documenting the military response from a forward observation point. Nicole, what's the current status?
Isaac, I'm at a checkpoint on the edge of the expanded quarantine zone. Behind me, you can hear sustained weapons fire. That's been constant for the past 3 days. The military is engaged in what amounts to urban warfare against an enemy that doesn't follow any conventional combat doctrine. I've been embedded with a National Guard unit, and what they're describing is unlike anything in their training or experience. Creatures, I'm going to call them what the soldiers call them, necromorphs. They attack in waves, but the waves aren't random. There are smaller ones with elongated arms ending in blade-like protrusions. The soldiers call those slashers. They move fast, using walls and ceilings as easily as floors. They hunt in packs and seem to communicate through clicking sounds. When you shoot them, even if you hit center mass repeatedly, they keep coming. You have to sever the limbs. Dismemberment is the only reliable way to stop them. Then there are the flying ones, leathery wings, about the size of a large dog. They're called infectors. They don't attack the living directly. They go for corpses. Any corpse, civilian, military, even other necromorphs that have been dismembered. They land on the body and drive something into it, a proboscis or stinger. Within minutes, the corpse reanimates. Bones break and reform. Flesh tears and reshapes. You can hear it happening, the cracking and wet sounds. And then the corpse stands up as something new and joins the attack. I watched it happen during a firefight 2 hours ago. A soldier was hit by one of the slashers, died almost instantly. His squad tried to recover the body, but the infectors were too fast. One of them got to him before they could pull back. 3 minutes later, he stood up with blade arms and attacked his own unit. They had to put him down, had to dismember someone they'd served with for years. The psychological impact of that, of having to mutilate your friends to stop them, it's breaking these soldiers down as surely as the creatures are.
Nicole, we're hearing reports of new varieties appearing. Can you describe what you've seen?
There are smaller ones now, about the size of children. The soldiers call them lurkers. They move on walls and ceilings like insects, fast and unpredictable. They have 3 tentacle-like appendages that shoot out with incredible force. I've seen them impale soldiers from 30 feet away. The tentacles are barbed. Once they're in you, they don't come out easily. And if you're hit, you're dragged toward the creature, pulled into range of the other tentacles. Then the infectors arrive. There's another type that's appeared in the past 2 days. The military calls them pregnants. They look like standard necromorphs, but with a grotesquely distended abdomen. When you shoot them in that swollen area, they explode. Not like a bomb, like something bursting from inside. Multiple smaller creatures erupt from the corpse. Fast-moving things with blade appendages, they swarm anyone nearby. A single pregnant can take down an entire squad if they don't recognize what they're dealing with in time. And then there are the heavy ones, 8 to 10 feet tall, massively built with armored plating that seems to be made of hardened bone. The soldiers call them brutes. Small arms fire doesn't penetrate. You need heavy weapons, rockets, grenades, mounted machine guns. Even then, they take multiple hits to bring down. They charge through defensive positions like they're made of paper. I saw one demolish a reinforced barricade with its bare hands, ripped a concrete barrier apart and threw the pieces at retreating soldiers. When they hit you, there's nothing left to recover.
We're joined now via secure government line by Dr. Michael Mercer from the CDC. Dr. Mercer, you were last on this program dismissing the initial incidents as stress-related. What's your current assessment?
Isaac, I'm going to be direct. My initial assessment was wrong, catastrophically wrong. What we're dealing with is an unprecedented biological hazard with aggressive reanimation vectors originating from the replica artifact site. The marker, the structure, the Unity Accord placed in Times Square, is emitting a frequency that causes cellular breakdown in living tissue and triggers reanimation in deceased tissue when exposed to a secondary infection vector. The flying organisms your reporter described, the infectors, they're the primary transmission mechanism. We've examined deceased necromorphs when recovery was possible. The cellular structure is human in origin, but radically restructured. Bones reinforced and reshaped. Muscle tissue enhanced beyond normal human capacity. Nervous system reorganized to allow continued function even after what should be fatal trauma. The reanimation process isn't random. It's directed, almost engineered. The marker signal provides a template, and the infector organism triggers the transformation. The result is a biological weapon that builds itself from available human remains. What makes this particularly dangerous is the exponential growth pattern. Every death creates a potential recruit. Every necromorph can generate more through the infector transmission. We're seeing reproduction rates that double every 6 to 8 hours within the active infection zone. The military can kill them faster than they reproduce individually, but they can't kill all of them fast enough to prevent net growth. The mathematics are devastating. If this escapes Manhattan, if it spreads to other population centers, we're looking at a cascading failure of containment protocols.
Dr. Mercer, can this be stopped? Is there any way to reverse the reanimation process or neutralize the marker signal?
We're researching countermeasures, but I need to be honest about our limitations. The marker's signal operates on frequencies we're only beginning to understand. It's not electromagnetic radiation, it's something else. Something that interacts directly with biological tissue at the quantum level. We can't jam it, we can't block it with conventional shielding, and we certainly can't turn it off because we don't understand the mechanism that's generating it. As for reversing the reanimation process, every specimen we've examined shows irreversible cellular damage. The transformation destroys the original biological identity. Even if we could somehow deactivate a necromorph, we'd be left with a corpse. The person who died is gone. What remains is organic material reorganized for a completely different purpose. There's no bringing them back. Our best option at this point is containment. Keep the infection localized to Manhattan. Establish hard perimeters that nothing crosses. Evacuate everyone we can from the active zone and establish screening protocols to ensure we don't accidentally evacuate infected individuals. Then we wait for the infection to exhaust its fuel supply. Necromorphs are aggressive and consume resources rapidly. If we can deny them new biomass, if we can prevent the infection from spreading, eventually the outbreak should stabilize. But that means accepting the loss of everyone still trapped inside the zone.
You're talking about abandoning potentially hundreds of thousands of people who are still alive in Manhattan.
I'm talking about saving the millions of people in surrounding areas. This is triage on a scale we've never faced before. We can't save everyone in the active zone. The resources don't exist, the time doesn't exist. But we might be able to save everyone else if we act decisively right now. I understand how that sounds. I understand the moral weight of that decision. But if this infection breaks containment, if it reaches New Jersey or the Bronx or Queens, we lose our ability to control it. Then we're not talking about one city, we're talking about the entire eastern seaboard, then the country, then globally. The marker signal is already detectable in surrounding boroughs. People are reporting the same auditory hallucinations, the same cellular symptoms. We're seeing isolated cases of tissue necrosis in individuals who were never inside the quarantine zone. The frequency is spreading, not as fast as the necromorphs themselves, but it's expanding. Every hour we delay establishing absolute containment is an hour where more people outside Manhattan are being exposed, more people whose cells are listening to that signal and preparing to transform.
Isaac, I need to interrupt. Something's happening at the perimeter. Multiple contacts approaching from inside the zone, not necromorphs. People, civilians, a large group of them walking toward the checkpoint. They're not running, not panicking, just walking in formation. The soldiers are ordering them to stop, but they're not responding. Wait, I can hear them. They're singing. It's the Unity Accord. They're wearing the ceremonial robes. Dozens of them, maybe hundreds. They're not trying to escape, they're walking back toward the infection zone. The soldiers are trying to stop them, but there are too many. Some are breaking through the line. They're heading directly toward Times Square, toward the marker. I can hear what they're singing now. It's about convergence, about becoming whole. They want to be infected. They're volunteering for this. The commander is ordering his troops to let them through. He's not going to shoot civilians for wanting to enter the zone. They're just watching them walk past. This column of people in robes singing about transformation and unity while they march towards certain death. Some of them are carrying children, families, whole families walking hand in hand into the infection zone. The soldiers look like they want to stop them, but what can they do? You can't save people who don't want to be saved. They're disappearing into the ruins now, still singing. I can hear their voices getting fainter. The military is reinforcing the perimeter behind them, but you can see it in their faces. They just watched hundreds of people commit suicide, voluntarily transform themselves into more of those creatures. How do you process that? How do you maintain containment when people are choosing to break it from the inside?
Dr. Mercer, does this change your assessment? If the Unity Accord members are deliberately entering the infection zone to be converted, doesn't that accelerate the very exponential growth you're trying to prevent?
It absolutely does. Every willing victim is biomass that the marker doesn't have to hunt for. It's being delivered directly to the conversion process. This is exactly what the Unity Accord planned. They're not just accepting this outbreak, they're feeding it, providing a steady supply of human material to ensure it reaches critical mass. That's why they chose a major city, maximum population density, and a built-in delivery system of true believers ready to offer themselves willingly. We need to start treating the Unity Accord as a hostile force actively working against containment efforts. Anyone attempting to enter the infection zone should be detained. I know how that sounds. I know the civil liberties implications, but we're past the point where we can afford to respect individual choice when that choice enables a biological catastrophe. This isn't about freedom of religion or personal autonomy anymore. This is about species survival.
That singing just stopped, all at once, like someone cut the audio. Then different sounds, screaming, the leathery wing beats of infectors, multiple contacts. The Unity Accord members didn't make it to the marker. The necromorphs found them first. Or maybe that was always the plan. Maybe it doesn't matter whether they reach the marker or not. Maybe the point was just to add more bodies to the count, more material for conversion. I can see movement in the ruins where they entered, shapes moving between the buildings, more necromorphs than before. Whatever just happened in there, it happened fast. Those hundreds of people are already gone, already part of the swarm. The military is preparing for a renewed assault. They know what's coming. They just created several hundred new enemies, and those enemies know exactly where the perimeter is because they just walked through it.
We're going to continue our coverage of the Manhattan crisis. The Department of Defense has announced a press conference scheduled for this afternoon to address military strategy and evacuation procedures. We're also expecting an official statement from the Unity Accord leadership regarding their members' actions today. Nicole Clark will remain at the forward position to document any developments. Dr. Mercer, thank you for your assessment. We'll stay with this story as it unfolds.
I've been trying to reach you. Can you hear me? I need you to hear me. Please respond.
All right, folks, we're going live, and I'm going to tell you exactly what's happening in Manhattan right now because the mainstream media won't. They're feeding you sanitized reports about biological hazards and containment zones, but they're not telling you the truth. They're not telling you that this was planned, that every single piece of this nightmare was engineered by your own government working hand in hand with a death cult that's been operating in the open for 10 years. Let me lay this out for you because the dots are so easy to connect. It's insulting that they think we can't see the pattern. 10 years ago, they find this thing on Mars. This alien artifact buried under the surface. And what do? Do they tell humanity we just made first contact with evidence of extraterrestrial intelligence? No, they classify it, lock it down, create an entire infrastructure of secrecy around it. Why? Because they already knew what it was. They already understood what it could do. Then this Unity Accord pops up out of nowhere. A fringe group suddenly becomes one of the most influential organizations on the planet in under a decade. How does that happen? Because it was never a grassroots movement. It was created by the same intelligence agencies that classified the Mars research. They needed a public-facing organization to do what the government couldn't be seen doing directly. And don't even get me started on the replica itself. You're telling me that a civilian organization managed to construct an exact copy of an alien artifact using classified research data? They built a 20-story monument in the middle of Manhattan and somehow nobody asked questions? That's not incompetence. That's cooperation. That's the government stepping aside and letting it happen because they wanted it to happen. Think about the timing. They unveiled this thing on the 10th anniversary of the Mars discovery. Maximum media coverage, maximum public attention. 2 million people packed into Times Square. Why? Why expose that many civilians to an untested replica of an alien artifact? Because they needed bodies. They needed biomass. This whole thing is a depopulation agenda wrapped in a religious movement. Look at what this thing does. It kills people and then it brings them back as weapons, as biological soldiers that build more of themselves from whatever human material they can find. That's not a natural process. That's a weapon system, an alien weapon system that was sitting on Mars waiting to be found. And our brilliant government decided to activate it on Earth in one of the most densely populated cities on the planet. And the Unity Accord members walking into the infection zone, that's not religious devotion. That's the final phase of the operation. They're flooding the experiment with willing participants to accelerate the process, to push it to critical mass faster than it would reach naturally. They want to see what happens next. They want to observe the endpoint. This convergence they keep talking about, but here's what they didn't plan on. This thing spreads. The marker signal isn't contained by quarantine barriers. It's a frequency. It propagates through the air like radiation. Everyone in New York has been exposed by now. Everyone in the surrounding states is being exposed as we speak. This experiment they thought they could control is already beyond containment. I'm telling you right now, mark my words, they're going to try to clean up their mess the only way they know how, with overwhelming force. They're going to nuke Manhattan. They're going to vaporize that entire island and everyone on it, and they're going to call it a necessary sacrifice. But it won't work. You can't nuke a frequency. You can't bomb an idea. That signal is already out there. So what do? How do we fight back against something that's already won? First, we stop trusting the official story. Everything they tell you from this point forward is going to be a lie designed to keep you calm. Second, we start preparing for what comes next. This outbreak isn't contained. It's going to reach your city eventually. And when it does, you need to be ready. Third, and this is the most important part, we hold them accountable. We document everything. We save every broadcast, every official statement, every piece of evidence that proves they knew what was going to happen. Because when this is over, if any of us survive, we're going to need that evidence to prosecute the people responsible. I know some of you are thinking I'm exaggerating, that I'm connecting dots that aren't really there. But ask yourself this, if I'm wrong, why did they build that replica in the first place? If I'm wrong, why did they place it in the most densely populated area they could find? If I'm wrong, why is the Unity Accord still operating freely while their members voluntarily infect themselves? The answer is simple, because this is exactly what they wanted to happen. This is the outcome they were aiming for from the beginning. They're killing us all and calling it evolution. Don't let them. Don't forget what really happened here. Remember that when you see the official memorials and the solemn speeches, remember that Manhattan didn't fall to an alien plague. It fell because human beings in positions of power decided to activate a weapon they knew would kill millions. Stay alert, stay informed, and whatever you do, don't trust the official narrative. This has been your warning. Make of it what you will.
This is the emergency alert system. This is not a test. The following message is transmitted at the request of the United States government. Mandatory evacuation order is now in effect for all residents of Manhattan, Brooklyn, Queens, the Bronx, and Staten Island. A biological hazard has been confirmed in the New York City metropolitan area. All residents must evacuate immediately using designated routes. Evacuation routes are as follows. Manhattan residents should proceed to the George Washington Bridge, Lincoln Tunnel, or Brooklyn Bridge. All other bridges and tunnels are under military control. Do not attempt to use unauthorized routes. Bring only essential items: food, water, medication, and identification documents. Do not bring pets. Do not bring large luggage. Travel on foot if possible. Vehicle traffic is severely congested. All evacuees will be subject to medical screening. Anyone displaying the following symptoms will be quarantined: severe headaches, unexplained nosebleeds, auditory hallucinations, violent behavior, cellular degradation visible on skin. Do not approach anyone displaying aggressive behavior. Do not attempt to help injured individuals within the quarantine zone. Report all sightings of hostile entities to military personnel immediately. Shelter in place is not advised. All residents must evacuate. This is a mandatory order. Failure to comply may result in being trapped within the expanding quarantine zone. This message will repeat. This is the emergency alert system. Evacuate immediately.
Two weeks. 14 days since the unveiling. The quarantine zone had expanded to cover most of Manhattan. Military casualties were in the thousands. Civilian deaths were impossible to count anymore. The bodies just disappeared into the conversion process, consumed by the swarm and reformed into new weapons for the Marker's army. But the real failure, the catastrophic breakdown of containment, that came when the heavy necromorphs reached the perimeter, when something massive enough to ignore small arms fire decided it wanted out. The documents I've recovered show the Unity Accord built the replica specifically to trigger this. They didn't want containment. They wanted spread. They wanted the infection to break free and reach other population centers. Every strategic decision they made, from the location in Times Square to the timing of the unveiling, was calculated to maximize initial exposure and ensure the outbreak would overwhelm any containment attempt. They even provided classified intelligence to their members inside the military. Weaknesses in the perimeter, optimal routes for necromorph breakthrough. They were sabotaging the defense from within. The marker signal had spread miles beyond Times Square by this point. You could measure it in the surrounding boroughs. Brooklyn, Queens, the Bronx, low-frequency hum that caused cellular breakdown. People living in apartments miles from the infection zone were developing symptoms. Headaches that wouldn't stop. Nosebleeds that came without warning. Strange compulsions to walk toward Manhattan, to get closer to the source. The signal was calling to them, preparing their cells for eventual transformation, turning them into future soldiers before they even realized they were infected. I was there when the breach happened, recording from a building 3 blocks outside the perimeter. I had to document it. I had to capture the moment when humanity's last defensive line in Manhattan collapsed completely. The sound came first, a rhythmic pounding like footsteps, but deeper. Each impact shook the ground, rattled windows in their frames. Then we saw it, something that used to be human but had been rebuilt into a siege weapon. 10 feet of armored biomass moving with terrible purpose toward the concrete barriers that were supposed to keep it contained. The soldiers opened fire. Everything they had. It didn't matter. Nothing mattered anymore.
This is Isaac Brennan broadcasting from our backup facility in New Jersey. Our primary studio in Manhattan was evacuated 6 days ago as the quarantine zone expanded. We're now 2 weeks into the outbreak with no signs of containment success. Nicole Clark has been documenting one of these breach events. Nicole, you're at the military command post monitoring drone footage. What's your status?
Isaac, I'm at forward command approximately 4 blocks from what used to be the eastern perimeter. The military has established an observation post here with live drone feeds monitoring the breach zone. I'm watching the footage now on their tactical displays. The breach happened just after dawn. The drone cameras captured something massive coming through the barricade, a creature that stands at least 10 feet tall. It's covered in what looks like armored plating, bone growths that have formed into protective layers. On the thermal feed, I can see small arms fire impacting it, but causing no damage. The military watched a squad empty their magazines into it, and it didn't even slow down. On the main monitor, I'm watching it reach the concrete barriers. It didn't try to go around them. The footage shows it grabbing one of the barriers with both hands. This was a multi-ton concrete block. The drone captured it lifting the barrier and throwing it. It sailed 30 feet and landed on a group of soldiers. The command post went silent when we saw that, but it wasn't alone. Multiple drone feeds show dozens of slashers moving fast through the breach. They're spreading out in what the tactical officer here is calling deliberate patterns. Some going toward residential buildings, others toward the subway entrances. The infrared shows heat signatures disappearing inside structures. Then nothing for a few minutes, then more signatures emerging, then went in.
Nicole, how many civilians are still trapped in the breach zone?
Thousands, Isaac. The overhead reconnaissance shows entire neighborhoods still populated. The evacuation orders came too late. Now they're trapped between the expanding infection zone and defensive perimeters that keep moving farther back. The military is trying to extract people when they can, but their primary mission is containment. I'm switching to a different drone feed. This one is monitoring a subway entrance where some of the slashers went. The infrared is picking up movement from below, multiple contacts, different movement patterns. Something is coming up from the platform level. So soldiers at the entrance are raising their weapons. On screen, I can see them emerging. These are new, different from the slashers, low to the ground. The thermal signature shows heavily muscled legs. They look coiled even on the display. The tactical feed just went active. They're launching themselves. The drone tracked them going straight up, 20 feet in the air from a standing position. Now they're landing on buildings. The aerial footage shows them bounding from surface to surface. One just landed behind the military position. The ground camera caught it. The legs are grotesquely oversized compared to the body. When it moves, you can see on the slow motion replay how those legs compress and release. It's moving across entire streets in single bounds. The engagement lasted less than 30 seconds before the position was overrun.
We're joined now by Dr. Benjamin Hammond of the Unity Accord. Dr. Hammond, the military breach we're witnessing was enabled by intelligence leaks from within the defense forces. Is this true?
Isaac, I'm not going to insult you by denying it. Yes, the Unity Accord has members throughout the military and government infrastructure. The replica marker wasn't just a monument, it was a trigger. Everything we've done was calculated to achieve this specific outcome. Containment was never going to work because we never intended it to work.
You're admitting to deliberately sabotaging military operations, to enabling the deaths of thousands of soldiers and civilians.
I'm acknowledging that we're serving a higher purpose than individual human survival. The marker represents something beyond human understanding. What you call death and destruction, we recognize as necessary stages in the convergence process. Every loss contributes to the eventual unity. Every transformation adds biomass to the collective that will emerge when this completes. The military can't win this fight, Isaac. Not because they lack weapons or courage, but because they're fighting the wrong battle. The marker signal has already made preservation impossible. Everyone exposed to the frequency is being prepared at the cellular level. When the time comes, they'll all transform.
Isaac, I need to interrupt. There's new movement on the primary tactical display. Something much larger is coming through the breach. The seismic sensors started registering impacts before the visual. The drone operator is repositioning for a better angle. I can see it on the main screen now. It must be 20 feet tall. The infrared shows a massive heat signature, 3 legs instead of 2, each one showing as extremely dense on the imaging. The upper body has multiple appendages. The tactical officer just counted 6. The center of the torso has an opening of some kind. The aerial drone is tracking it moving toward the new defensive perimeter. Soldiers are firing heavy weapons. The high-speed camera on the drone is capturing the impacts. I can see chunks of biomass being blown off on the replay, but the thermal imaging shows the wounds closing. The tissue is regenerating in real time. The tactical display estimates regeneration speed at 30 seconds for major damage. The ground camera just captured it, grabbing a military vehicle. The drone footage shows it picking up an armored personnel carrier. It's throwing it. The aerial feed is tracking the carrier's trajectory. It just impacted a building 3 blocks away. The thermal imaging shows the entire structure is collapsing. There were heat signatures in that building, civilian signatures. They're gone now. Multiple feeds show the defensive position is being overrun. The overhead tactical view shows soldiers retreating, but there are other necromorphs emerging from side streets. The breach zone is expanding on all the tactical maps. The red zone just grew by 3 blocks. The military can't hold any more. The perimeter is gone. Command is ordering all units to fall back to secondary positions. If you're anywhere in New York and you're hearing this, get out now. Don't wait. The bridges are still open. Just go.
Nicole, evacuate immediately. Dr. Hammond, what you've confirmed will be forwarded to federal authorities.
Forward them to whoever you like. Isaac. By the time any prosecution could be organized, there won't be a legal system left. The replica in Times Square is still broadcasting. And it's not the only one. The Unity Accord built multiple replicas. They're all activating now, synchronized. New York was just the first. Other cities are beginning their own transformations. That's what the marker was designed to do. Finding worlds with complex biological life, offering them the path to convergence. Earth is just the latest world to receive that gift. We're witnessing the birth of a new brother moon, when all biological matter merges into a unified awareness that encompasses everything that once lived separately.
We're ending this interview. Nicole Clark, status report.
I'm evacuating the command post now, Isaac. The officers here are packing up the tactical equipment. Everyone is moving to fallback positions. The drone feeds are being transferred to mobile units. Traffic is completely gridlocked on all the monitors. The aerial reconnaissance shows thousands of people trying to reach the bridges. If we can't reach a bridge, we're trapped.
This is Isaac Brennan. We're going to continue coverage of the Manhattan crisis as information becomes available. The Department of Defense has issued a statement advising all civilians in the New York metropolitan area to evacuate immediately. Multiple bridges are still open under military supervision. Do not attempt to enter Manhattan under any circumstances. Stay safe.
All right, we're live. So I've got someone here today who actually made it out of the quarantine zone. This guy was inside Manhattan when everything went down. He saw these things up close, saw what they do, saw how fast this whole situation fell apart. And man, the stories he's telling me are absolutely insane. Like, I've been following this on the news, but hearing it from someone who was actually there, it's a completely different level. So welcome to the show. Thanks for being here, and thanks for being willing to talk about this.
Thanks for having me. Yeah. I wasn't sure I wanted to do this. Wasn't sure I could talk about what I saw without, losing it. But people need to hear this. The news isn't showing you the real picture. They're sanitizing it, giving you statistics and official statements, but not telling you what it's actually like on the ground when those things are hunting you.
So let's start from the beginning. You were in Manhattan when the marker was unveiled. You were at the ceremony?
I was there. Not right up close. I was probably 3 blocks away, but close enough to see it when they pulled the covering off. This massive red structure, 20 stories tall, glowing. And I know that sounds weird, but it really was glowing, like it had light coming from inside it. Everyone around me started taking photos and videos. Some people were crying. It felt like, I don't know, like a religious moment or something, like we were witnessing something profound.
Did you feel anything strange? People have been reporting hearing sounds from the marker, feeling sensations.
Yeah, I felt it. Not right away, but maybe an hour after the unveiling. Started as a headache, just this pressure behind my eyes. Then I noticed this. I guess you'd call it a vibration in my chest, like when you're standing next to a really loud speaker and you can feel the bass in your rib cage. But there was no music, no external sound. It was coming from the marker itself. Most people didn't seem to notice, or maybe they didn't want to acknowledge it. but I could feel it. This low-frequency hum that made my teeth ache.
That's wild. So what happened next? When did things start going wrong?
I went home that night. Took the subway back to my apartment in the East Village. Felt terrible. The headache was getting worse. I took something for it and tried to sleep, but I kept hearing this sound. Like singing almost. Coming from nowhere. Like it was inside my head. I thought maybe I was coming down with something. Figured I'd feel better in the morning. But when I woke up, the news was reporting incidents. People attacking each other near Times Square. Deaths at hospitals. The official story was crowd stress and possible contamination, but it didn't feel right. Then the quarantine happened. They sealed off blocks around Times Square. Said there was a biological hazard. Military vehicles everywhere. Helicopters. I watched it from my window. Soldiers setting up barricades. People trying to leave the city and being turned back. It escalated so fast. Within 2 days, the quarantine zone was expanding toward my neighborhood. That's when I realized I needed to get out. But by then, getting out wasn't simple anymore.
What do you mean? They were stopping evacuations?
They were screening everyone, looking for symptoms. Anyone with headaches or nosebleeds or violent behavior, they weren't letting them through. They'd separate you from your family and take you to a containment tent. I saw soldiers literally pulling children away from parents because the parents showed symptoms. People were begging, fighting. It didn't matter. If you showed any signs of infection, you weren't leaving. And the problem was, almost everyone who'd been at the ceremony was showing some symptoms. That marker did something to us, to our bodies. We were all affected even if we didn't realize it yet.
So how did you get out?
I lied. Told them I hadn't been at the ceremony. Said I'd been out of the city and just got back. They asked if I had any symptoms. I said no, even though my head was pounding and I'd had a nosebleed that morning. They did a quick physical check. Temperature, pulse, basic stuff. I passed. They let me through. But the guilt of that, knowing I might have been infected and I lied to get past the screening, that's been eating at me. What if I was carrying it? What if I spread it to other people outside the zone?
Man, that's heavy. But you did what you had to do to survive. Anyone would have done the same thing.
Maybe. But before I got out, before I reached the checkpoint, I saw them. The necromorphs. That's what people are calling them now. I saw what they really look like up close. Not on television. Not in some shaky cell phone video. Right in front of me. Close enough to smell them.
What do they smell like?
Death. Rotting meat. But also something else. Something chemical. Like formaldehyde mixed with burnt plastic. It's a smell you can't forget once you've experienced it. Makes you want to vomit. Makes your body instinctively recoil because some primitive part of your brain recognizes it as danger, as something fundamentally wrong with the natural order.
Where did you encounter them? How close did you get?
I was trying to reach an evacuation point. Moving through side streets to avoid the main roads where the military was engaged. I thought I could slip past the fighting and get to a bridge. But I turned a corner and there it was. This thing that used to be a person. I could tell it had been human once because it still wore scraps of clothing. A business suit, like it had been an office worker before. But the body was completely transformed. The arms were too long, extended and ending in these blade things. Bone protrusions that had broken through the skin and grown into weapons. The chest was split open, ribs spread wide like wings. And the face, God, the face was the worst part. It still had human features. Eyes, nose, mouth. But they were arranged wrong. Like someone had taken a face and stretched it, distorted it. The eyes were empty. Not dead exactly. More like there was something behind them. But it wasn't human anymore. Wasn't capable of human thought or emotion. It was just hunger and purpose. This thing looked at me and I knew it was evaluating me, deciding whether to attack or move on to easier prey. I froze. Completely froze. Every survival instinct told me to run, but my body wouldn't move. I just stood there watching it. And here's the crazy thing. It didn't attack. It looked at me for maybe 5 seconds. Then it turned and ran. Not toward me, away from me, down an alley toward sounds of fighting, toward where the military was engaging other necromorphs, like it had more important targets than a single frozen civilian. That's when I realized these things aren't mindless. They're not zombies stumbling around randomly. They're smart. They make tactical decisions. They prioritize threats. That's so much worse than if they were just rabid animals.
That's terrifying. So these things, these necromorphs, they're actually intelligent?
I don't know if intelligent is the right word, but they're not stupid. They hunt in patterns. They use the environment. I watched from a distance as a group of them coordinated an attack on a military position. The smaller, fast ones drew fire and scattered. While the soldiers were tracking those targets, a bigger one came through a building wall. Just smashed through brick and concrete like it wasn't there. Hit the position from an angle the soldiers weren't defending. It was a flanking maneuver, straight out of military tactics. How does a reanimated corpse know to flank an enemy position?
Maybe they retained some knowledge from before? From when they were alive?
Maybe. Or maybe the marker is controlling them, giving them instructions. People who study this, the scientists still trying to understand it, they think the marker emits a signal that doesn't just reanimate dead tissue. It also provides a kind of collective intelligence. Like all the necromorphs are connected, sharing information, operating as a hive mind rather than individuals. That would explain the coordination, the tactical awareness. They're not acting independently. They're all part of one larger organism that's using them as extensions of itself.
That's such a crazy concept. So the marker's like, what? A control tower? Broadcasting instructions to these things?
Something like that. But it's not just instructions for movement or attack patterns. The signal is also affecting living people, changing them even before they die. I felt it. That humming in my chest. The headaches. I think my cells were being altered, prepared for transformation. If I'd stayed in the zone longer, if I'd been exposed to the signal for another few days or weeks, I might have transformed while still alive, just fallen over and started changing. Bones breaking and reforming, flesh tearing and reshaping, becoming one of those things without even dying first.
Have you had any symptoms since leaving the city?
The headache stopped after about 3 days. The nosebleed stopped. I feel normal now, but I don't know if that means I'm clean or if the damage is already done. Maybe my cells are still altered. Maybe I'm just in a dormant phase. There's no way to know. The medical screening they did at the evacuation point was basic. Temperature and visible symptoms. They didn't do blood work. Didn't scan for cellular changes. They couldn't. They were processing thousands of people per hour. There wasn't time for thorough examinations. So for all I know, I could still be carrying whatever the marker did to me.
That's got to be weighing on you, the uncertainty of whether you're infected.
Every day. Every time I get a headache or feel off, I wonder if this is it. If this is when the transformation starts. I've made plans for what I'll do if it happens. Places I'll go where I can't hurt anyone. Ways to end it before I become one of those things. Because I've seen what they do. I've seen the damage they cause. And I'd rather die as myself than become a weapon for that marker.
Let's talk about the Unity Accord for a minute. These are the people who built the replica marker. What's your take on them?
They are either completely insane, or they're part of something we don't understand yet. I saw them in the city, before the breach. Groups of them in their robes walking toward the infection zone. Not running away like everyone else. Walking toward it, singing, smiling, like they were going to a celebration instead of certain death. Some of them had children with them, families. They were taking their kids into the infection zone on purpose, offering them to those things. And the worst part is, they seemed peaceful about it. Happy even. Not coerced or brainwashed in an obvious way. They genuinely believed they were doing the right thing. Believed transformation was salvation. That becoming part of the collective consciousness was better than individual existence. How do you fight that? How do you save people who don't want to be saved? Who think you're the one who's wrong for trying to preserve your humanity?
Do you think they know something we don't? Like, is there any possibility they're right, that this convergence thing they talk about is actually real?
I don't know. And that's what keeps me up at night. What if they're right? What if the marker really is offering some kind of transcendence? Some form of existence beyond what we can imagine? But then I remember what I saw. The screaming, the blood, the violence, the way those things tear people apart without hesitation. If that's the path to enlightenment, if that's what unity looks like, I want no part of it. I'd rather die as an individual than live as part of that collective nightmare. But here's the thing that really scares me. The Unity Accord built multiple replicas, not just the one in Times Square. They placed them in cities around the world. London, Tokyo, other major population centers, and they're all activating, all starting their own outbreaks simultaneously. This isn't just a New York problem. This is global. And if it spreads at the same rate it spread in Manhattan, if the same exponential growth happens in every city with a replica marker, we're looking at civilizational collapse within months, maybe weeks.
That's apocalyptic. You really think it's that bad?
I think it's worse. I think the people trying to contain this don't understand what they're up against. They're treating it like a disease outbreak. Quarantine zones and military perimeters. But the marker isn't a pathogen. It's something else. Something that operates on principles we don't have frameworks for understanding. It doesn't just kill, it converts. It transforms biological matter into something new. And once that transformation reaches a certain threshold, once there's enough converted biomass, something else happens. Something the Unity Accord calls convergence. I don't fully understand what that means. But from what I've heard, from what they believe, convergence is when all the individual necromorphs merge together, combine into a single massive organism with unified consciousness. They call it a brother moon, an entity formed from an entire planet's worth of biological material. That's the end point. That's what the marker is building toward. Not just creating necromorphs, but creating enough of them that they can merge into something planet-sized.
That sounds like science fiction.
2 weeks ago, reanimated corpses with blade arms sounded like science fiction. Now they're hunting people in the streets of New York. I'm not saying I believe everything the Unity Accord claims, but I saw that marker. I felt what it did to my body. I watched it transform people into things that shouldn't exist. So when they say it's building towards something bigger, when they say this is just the beginning, I don't dismiss it as fantasy. I think we're witnessing something that has happened before, on other worlds, in other star systems. And we're seeing it happen here because we were stupid enough to bring that technology to Earth and activate it in the middle of a population center.
So what do you think happens next? Where does this go?
I think Manhattan falls completely. The military can't hold it. They're already evacuating the outer boroughs. Brooklyn, Queens, the Bronx. They're trying to establish new perimeters in New Jersey and Connecticut, but the infection is spreading faster than they can evacuate people. And the marker signal is expanding. You can measure it now in neighboring states. People hundreds of miles away are starting to report symptoms. Headaches, nosebleeds, hearing that humming sound. Their cells are being prepared for transformation even though they're nowhere near the active infection zone. And that's just New York. The same thing is starting in other cities, other countries, each one with its own replica marker broadcasting its own signal, each one converting its local population into necromorphs. Within a month, maybe 2, every major city on Earth will be experiencing what Manhattan is experiencing now. The governments will try to maintain order, try to evacuate and contain. But the mathematics don't work. You can't evacuate billions of people. You can't contain a signal that propagates through the air. All you can do is watch as civilization collapses city by city. And when it's done, when there are no more uninfected humans left, when everything living has been converted into biomass, that's when convergence happens. That's when all those individual necromorphs merge into the final form, the brother moon. An organism the size of a planet with consciousness formed from billions of transformed humans. That's what the marker was designed to create. That's what it's been creating across the galaxy for millions of years. Earth is just the latest world to fall into that pattern.
Man, that's heavy. That's really heavy. I don't even know what to say to that.
Neither do I. I'm just telling you what I saw, what I learned, what I believe is coming based on everything I witnessed in Manhattan. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the military will find a way to stop this. Maybe scientists will discover a weakness we can exploit. But I've seen how fast these things adapt, how smart they are, how the infection spreads exponentially. And I don't think we have the tools or the time to stop it. I think we're watching the end of human civilization in real time. And all we can do is document it, record what's happening, so that if anyone or anything finds Earth after this is over, they'll know what happened to us. They'll know we didn't go quietly, that we fought, that we tried, even if we failed.
All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, I want to talk more about what you think individuals can do to prepare, how people can protect themselves if this comes to their city. But man, this has been intense. Really appreciate you sharing your story. We'll be right back.
Something's happening to me. I can feel it. It's not bad though. It's actually beautiful. You'd understand if you could see it.
My fellow Americans, look, I'm not going to stand here and sugarcoat this thing. We're facing a situation that frankly, I never thought I'd see in my lifetime. And I've been around a long time, longer than most of you, that's for sure. But this is something else entirely. You know, when I was a young senator, we used to watch these science fiction movies, The Blob, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, Night of the Living Dead, classic films, really terrific films. And we'd sit there eating popcorn thinking, thank God this could never happen in real life. Well, guess what? Here we are. And let me tell you something. Those movies didn't prepare us for this. Not even close. Because in the movies, there's always some hero who figures it out. Some scientist or soldier or regular person who saves the day. But this isn't Hollywood. This is real life. And real life doesn't have a script. Now, I want to be straight with you. The situation in Manhattan and across the eastern seaboard, it's under control. We have the best military in the world, bar none. Our soldiers are out there right now establishing defensive perimeters, evacuating civilians, doing everything humanly possible to contain this outbreak. And they're doing a heck of a job, really tremendous job. I'm proud of them. We all should be proud of them. But I'm not going to lie to you, this is tough. This is really, really tough. These creatures, these necromorphs as they're calling them, they're not like anything we've dealt with before. They don't surrender. They don't negotiate. They don't even die properly when you shoot them. You gotta cut them apart, dismember them. It's like that movie, what was it called? The Thing. John Carpenter's The Thing. Fantastic movie. Kurt Russell at his finest. But in that movie, you could burn the thing. You could destroy it with fire. These things, not so much. Fire just makes them mad. And look, I've been briefed by the experts, the scientists, the military commanders. They tell me we're doing everything we can, everything within our power. But between you and me, and I shouldn't be saying this, but I'm going to say it anyway because you deserve the truth. They're scared. These are professionals, career military scientists with decades of experience, and they're scared because this thing, this marker that the Unity Accord built, is doing things that don't make sense, things that violate the laws of physics, things that frankly shouldn't be possible. Now, some of you are asking, how did this happen? How did we let a religious cult build a giant alien artifact replica in the middle of Times Square? That's a fair question. That's a very fair question. And the answer is, well, the answer is complicated. There were failures at multiple levels. Regulatory failures, intelligence failures, failures of imagination, if I'm being honest. We didn't think anyone would be crazy enough to actually do this. We thought it was just talk, just religious rhetoric. We didn't take the threat seriously enough. And that's on me. That's on my administration. And I take full responsibility for that failure. But here's what I want you to understand. We're not giving up. We're not surrendering. This is America. We don't quit when things get tough. We fought World War II. We put a man on the moon. We've overcome challenges that seemed impossible. And we're going to overcome this too. Somehow, some way, we're going to figure this out because that's what Americans do. We solve problems. We innovate. We persevere. Now, I've been told we have about 2 million people still trapped in Manhattan. 2 million souls who are counting on us to rescue them, to get them out safely. And we're working on that. We're working on that around the clock. But I need to be honest with you. The evacuation is not going as quickly as we'd like. The infection is spreading faster than we anticipated. The defensive perimeters keep collapsing. We're having to fall back, regroup, establish new lines further from the city. And every time we do that, more people get left behind. More people get trapped in the infection zone. And that breaks my heart. It really does. You know, there's this movie, The Poseidon Adventure, old movie from the 70s. Gene Hackman, fantastic film. In that movie, there's this scene where they have to decide who to save, who to leave behind. And it's gut-wrenching, absolutely gut-wrenching. Well, we're living that movie now. We're having to make those impossible choices. Who gets evacuated first? Who has to wait? Who might not make it out at all? And it's tearing us apart. It's tearing me apart because every single one of those people is an American. Every single one of them deserves to be rescued. But we only have so many resources, so much time, so much everything. I want to address the Unity Accord directly. If you're watching this, and I know you are, you need to understand what you've done. You've killed thousands of people, maybe tens of thousands by now. You've destroyed one of our greatest cities. You've unleashed something that might destroy our entire civilization. And for what? For some twisted vision of spiritual transcendence? For some belief that merging consciousnesses is better than individual existence? That's insane. That's absolutely insane. And you will be held accountable. Every single member of your organization, every person who helped build those replica markers, every person who knew this was going to happen and didn't stop it, you will face justice. That's a promise. Now, I've also been informed that there are replica markers in other cities, other countries, all set to activate simultaneously. And folks, I'm not going to sugarcoat this. That terrifies me. If what happened in New York happens in London and Tokyo and Moscow and everywhere else, we're looking at a global catastrophe. We're looking at the potential end of human civilization. And that's not hyperbole. That's not me being dramatic. That's the honest assessment from our best experts. So here's what I need from you. If you live in a major city, especially if there are reports of Unity Accord activity in your area, I need you to evacuate. Get out now. Don't wait for official orders. Don't wait for permission. Just go. Get your families, get your pets, get whatever you can carry and get out. Head to rural areas. Head to places with low population density, places far from cities, places where hopefully this infection won't reach. I know that's asking a lot. I know some of you have homes you've lived in for generations, businesses you've built, lives you've established, but none of that matters if you're dead. None of that matters if you're transformed into one of those things. And look, I've seen the footage. I've seen what these necromorphs do to people. It's like something out of a horror movie. Worse than a horror movie. It's like Alien and The Thing and Night of the Living Dead all mixed together. It's nightmare fuel, pure nightmare fuel. And I don't want that happening to any more Americans. I don't want that happening to anyone anywhere. So please, please listen to me. Evacuate, save yourselves, save your families. Give us time to figure out how to stop this thing. Now, I want to talk about hope for a moment. Because despite everything I've just said, despite the dire situation we're facing, I still have hope. I have hope because I've seen what Americans can do when we come together. I've seen the courage of our first responders running toward danger when everyone else is running away. I've seen the dedication of our scientists working 20-hour days trying to understand this infection. I've seen the compassion of ordinary citizens opening their homes to evacuees, sharing their resources, taking care of strangers like their family. That's America. That's who we are, and that gives me hope. I also want you to know that we're exploring every option, every possible solution, military options, scientific options, diplomatic options. We're even looking at some pretty extreme measures, things I can't discuss publicly for obvious reasons, but we're not sitting idle. We're not accepting defeat. We're fighting this thing with everything we have, and we're going to keep fighting until we win or until there's nothing left to fight for. You know, there's another movie I keep thinking about. Independence Day, great film, Will Smith, Jeff Goldblum. In that movie, humanity faces extinction from an alien invasion, and it looks hopeless. It looks like we're going to lose. But then someone figures out the alien weakness. They find a way to fight back. They upload a virus into the mothership. Classic scene, iconic scene. Humanity wins. We overcome impossible odds and we survive. That's the movie I keep thinking about. That's the movie I want us to be living in. Because if they could figure it out in the movie, maybe we can figure it out in real life. Maybe there's some weakness we haven't found yet, some vulnerability we can exploit, some way to shut down these markers and stop the infection before it's too late. I'm asking for your patience. I'm asking for your courage. I'm asking for your faith in our institutions and our people and our ability to overcome this challenge. This is the fight of our lives, the fight for our lives, and we can't afford to lose. We can't afford to give up. We can't afford to surrender to fear or despair or the idea that extinction is inevitable, because it's not. It's not inevitable. We make our own future, we determine our own fate, and our fate is survival. Our fate is victory. Our fate is is continuing to exist as a species despite everything that's trying to destroy us. I want to close by saying this. To everyone who's lost someone in this outbreak, to everyone who's watched loved ones die or transform or disappear, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. No words can express the depth of that loss. No policy can bring those people back. No military victory can undo what's been done. But I promise you this, we will remember them. We will honor their sacrifice, and we will make sure that their deaths were not in vain. We will survive this. We will rebuild, and we will make sure nothing like this ever happens again. That's my promise to you. That's my commitment as president. Stay safe, stay strong, stay together, and may God bless America. May God bless every person fighting this infection, and may God have mercy on us all, because we're going to need it. Thank you.
One month since the unveiling. Manhattan was lost. Not falling. Lost. Past tense. The military had retreated to defensive positions in New Jersey and Connecticut. They weren't trying to reclaim the city anymore. Just trying to prevent the infection from spreading beyond it. But the signal, that low-frequency pulse from the marker, it didn't respect geographical boundaries. It propagated through the air like radiation. People in Philadelphia were reporting symptoms. Boston, Washington. The cellular breakdown was spreading faster than the necromorphs themselves. I'd been documenting everything from the beginning, following the story as it unfolded, recording interviews and collecting evidence. But by week 4, I realized the traditional media infrastructure was collapsing. Networks were evacuating their facilities. Journalists were fleeing the eastern seaboard. The official narrative was fragmenting as the people responsible for maintaining it abandoned their posts. So I did what any documentary filmmaker would do. I stayed. I kept recording. Someone had to bear witness to what was happening. Someone had to document the truth, even if no one would be left alive to watch the final cut. The Unity Accords facility where they'd built the replica marker. That became my focus. If I could get inside, if I could see the marker up close and document what it was doing, maybe I could understand the mechanism. Maybe I could find something that would help the few survivors who might escape this catastrophe. It was a long shot, probably suicide. But what else was I going to do? Run, hide, wait for the infection to reach me wherever I went? At least this way, my death would serve a purpose. At least the footage would mean something. Nicole Clark had the same idea. She'd been covering the outbreak from the beginning, watched it escalate from scattered incidents to full-scale warfare. She was one of the best field reporters I'd ever seen, brave beyond reason, committed to the truth even when that commitment put her in danger. She infiltrated the Unity Accord facility on day 28. I have her audio recordings, the last transmissions before whatever happened to her happened. I've listened to them dozens of times, trying to understand, trying to find meaning in the sounds, in the silence that followed. Her voice is still clear in my memory. Professional even in the face of horror. She deserved better than what she got.
This is Isaac Brennan broadcasting from an independent studio in Princeton. Our network facilities were evacuated last week as the infection spread into New Jersey. I'm maintaining this broadcast through pirate radio transmission. Official channels are failing. But journalism matters now more than ever. It's been 1 month since the Unity Accord unveiled their replica marker in Times Square. Manhattan is completely overrun. The military has abandoned any pretense of reclaiming the city, but that containment is failing. The infection has breached multiple perimeters. Nicole Clark has been working with military intelligence to gather reconnaissance footage from inside the quarantine zone. 3 days ago, she informed me she was attempting to pilot a drone into the Unity Accords facility near Times Square. I advised against it, but Nicole was committed. This is the last communication I received from her.
Isaac, I have drone control established. I'm piloting from a secure relay station about 10 miles outside the quarantine perimeter. The military loaned me a stealth reconnaissance unit. It took me 6 hours to navigate it through the ruins to reach the facility. The infrared is showing necromorphs everywhere, but their distribution isn't random. They're concentrated around certain structures. The marker is definitely calling to them. I can feel it myself even from here. That hum in my chest. It's affecting the drone systems too. I'm getting interference on all frequencies. The signal is affecting electronics as well as biology. The facility is massive on the aerial view. Multiple stories built around the marker itself. I can see it through the windows on the visual feed. That red structure rising up through the center of the building. It's glowing brighter than it was at the Unveiling. The thermal camera is picking up rhythmic pulses. Each pulse sends out a wave I can measure on the sensors. I'm navigating the drone through the corridors now. The camera shows bodies here. Unity Accord members who came to be close to their god. Some are dead on the thermal, some are in the process of transforming. The infrared shows their body temperature fluctuating. Bones shifting under the flesh on the high-definition feed. They're not moving, just lying there, almost peaceful. There's chanting coming from deeper in the facility. The audio pickup is detecting it. I'm following the sound signature, navigating down a stairwell. The visual feed is showing the walls are different down here, something organic. The texture analysis is reading biological tissue. There are growths spreading across the surfaces that pulse in time with the marker frequency. I'm approaching the central chamber now. The doors are massive on screen. They're slightly open. I'm maneuvering the drone through the gap. The interior dimensions don't match the exterior structure. The space is larger than it should be. The visual feed shows the marker in the center, rising up through multiple floors, Unity Accord members surrounding it, hundreds of them on the count. I'm detecting something on the walls. The thermal shows heat signatures merged with the structure. People fused into the walls and ceiling. The camera confirms they're still alive. Wait, the cultists have stopped chanting. They're turning. Multiple heat signatures orienting toward the drone's position.
That was the last I heard from Nicole. I've been trying to reach her for 3 days. The drone signal terminated abruptly. The last frame of footage shows what looks like a tripod pulling the drone toward its central maw. Then the feed cut to static. Nicole's position was overrun a few hours later. Her final footage gave us evidence of what's happening at the source, proof that the Unity Accord is facilitating this, that they're housing massive necromorphs in their facility, that the marker is doing exactly what we feared. The footage has been archived. Nicole's work will survive even if she doesn't respond. I'm going to continue this broadcast in her memory. The infection is spreading beyond New York now. Multiple cities reporting outbreaks. London confirmed a replica marker activation yesterday. Tokyo this morning. The Unity Accord distributed them globally. What happened in Manhattan is happening everywhere. The governments are collapsing. Communication networks overloaded. Power grids failing. When cities fall to necromorph infestation, they take their infrastructure with them. It's a chain reaction. Each failure accelerates the next. We're watching civilizational collapse in real time. I don't know how much longer I can maintain this broadcast. Power is intermittent, but I'll keep transmitting as long as I'm able. Nicole believed documentation mattered, that bearing witness mattered even when the witness might not survive. So I'm staying, I'm recording. The marker isn't a tool, it's a weapon.
They're all here with me. Everyone who came before. We're together now. We're not alone anymore. Don't you want to stop being alone?
This is the emergency alert system. This is not a test. The following message is transmitted at the request of the United States government and the Federal Emergency Management Agency. Mandatory evacuation orders are now in effect for the following areas: all of New York State, northern New Jersey, southern Connecticut, eastern Pennsylvania, including Philadelphia. All residents in these areas must evacuate immediately. The biological threat has spread beyond initial containment zones. Multiple outbreak sites confirmed in Boston, Providence, Newark, and Trenton. The infection is airborne within a 50-mile radius of each outbreak site. Evacuation centers have been established in Pittsburgh, Buffalo, Albany, and Harrisburg. Evacuees should proceed west or north. Do not travel south. Do not travel toward Washington, D.C. The capital has been evacuated. All evacuees will undergo mandatory medical screening. Screening includes visual examination, temperature check, and psychological evaluation. Anyone displaying symptoms of infection will not be permitted to leave the quarantine zone. Citizens are advised. The entities within the quarantine zones are extremely hostile. They are not human. They cannot be reasoned with. They cannot be saved. Do not attempt rescue operations. Do not approach the quarantine perimeter. Additional warnings. Reports of large-scale transformations are confirmed. Entire city blocks have been converted to organic matter. Buildings and infrastructure within the infection zone are unstable. Avoid all structures within 50 miles of Times Square. International updates. Similar outbreaks have been reported in London, Tokyo, Moscow, and Sydney. This is a global crisis. All international travel is suspended. All airports are closed. This message will repeat. Evacuate immediately. Travel west. Do not look back.
I see your faces today, and I know what you're feeling. I know because I'm feeling it too. That crushing weight of despair, that terrible question that keeps you awake at night asking where God is in all of this. Some of you have lost family members, friends, neighbors, and you're here in this sanctuary looking at me, hoping I have answers. I wish I could tell you I have those answers. I wish I could stand here and explain exactly why God is permitting this suffering. But I don't have those explanations. What I do have is faith, not the kind that provides easy answers, but the kind that holds on even when everything else is falling apart. The kind that says, I don't understand, but I still trust. There are people out there right now telling you this is judgment, that God sent this plague to punish humanity for our sins. I want to be absolutely clear about this. That is a lie. The God I serve doesn't punish his children with biological nightmares. What's happening right now is the result of human choice, evil human choice made by people who thought they could control forces they didn't understand. And yes, God could stop it. So why doesn't he? I don't know. I wrestle with that question every single day. Does that mean God doesn't care? No. It means we're living in a broken world where evil has real power and real consequences. God gave us free will. That's a precious gift, but it's also terrifying because free will means we can choose evil. The Unity Accord chose this. They looked at an alien weapon designed for extinction and they chose to activate it. They chose to place it in a city full of innocent people. That wasn't God's choice. That was human evil operating with full knowledge and intent. And now we're living with the consequences. So where is God in this? He's in the same place he's always been, walking with us through the suffering. God entered into human suffering through Christ. He knows what it means to watch loved ones die. Jesus experienced all of that on the cross, and he's experiencing it with us now. Every tear we cry, God is crying with us. He's not distant or indifferent. I know that's not the answer you want. You want me to promise that everything will be okay, but I can't promise you that. The situation is desperate. We might be witnessing the end of human civilization. That's the truth. But here's the other truth. Even if civilization ends, God's love doesn't end. Jesus said that nothing can separate us from the love of God. Not death, not life, not the present, not the future. Nothing. That includes this infection. So what do we do with that? We do what God's people have always done in times of crisis. We love each other fiercely. We care for the vulnerable. We share what we have with those who have nothing. We maintain our humanity even when everything around us is becoming inhuman. We choose life and love and compassion even when death seems inevitable. Some of you are planning to leave, to evacuate to rural areas where you think you'll be safe. I understand that impulse, but I want to challenge you before you go. Don't let survival become your only value. If you're leaving, take people with you. Open your doors and your vehicles and your resources to others. Be the hands and feet of Christ even in evacuation. And for those staying, you're going to be witnessing things that no one should have to witness. There will be days when you want to give up. Jesus himself asked for the cup of suffering to be taken from him. It's okay to want relief. It's okay to be human in your pain. But don't surrender to despair. Don't let this infection take your soul, even if it takes everything else. The Unity Accord believes transformation through death is salvation. That's a theology of death masquerading as enlightenment. We serve a God of life who valued individual relationships and personal connection. The collective consciousness they promise isn't unity, it's annihilation. Don't believe that lie. Hold on to your humanity. Die as yourself if you must die, but don't voluntarily give up your soul. I'm going to pray now. God, we're scared. We're watching our world die and we don't know how to stop it. Some of us are angry with you. Some of us doubt you're even there, but we're still here, still gathering. So meet us in this darkness, not with explanations or easy answers, but with your presence. Give us strength to face what's coming, courage to remain human, and hope. We desperately need hope. Protect those who are fleeing. Sustain those who are staying. Comfort those who have lost loved ones. And for all of us, give us peace, the peace that transcends understanding. We're yours, Lord, in life and in death. Hold us, keep us, don't let us go. Amen. Go from here today knowing you're loved, knowing you matter. Be the light that shines in darkness. Be the love that refuses to be extinguished. And remember, you're not alone. You have this community. You have a God who will never abandon you, even in the valley, even at the end. May his peace be with you all.
I can hear you thinking. I can feel your fear. You don't have to be afraid. Come find me. I'm waiting for you.
Six weeks. The infection had consumed the entire eastern seaboard, not just Manhattan anymore. Every major city from Boston to Miami was experiencing outbreak clusters. The replica markers distributed by the Unity Accord were all active now, broadcasting their signals simultaneously across the globe. The cellular breakdown was universal. Anyone living in or near a major population center was being exposed. Their bodies were being prepared for transformation, whether they realized it or not. The mathematics had become undeniable. Humanity was losing. Not slowly, rapidly, exponentially. We were being converted into biomass faster than we could evacuate or defend. I've been reviewing archive footage. Audio recordings from field reporters who are no longer transmitting Nicole's files. Her last broadcast before she disappeared into that facility. I've listened to them so many times I can hear every breath, every pause, every moment of fear bleeding through her professional composure. There's something in the recordings, something underneath her voice, a breathing that isn't hers, background sounds that shouldn't be there. I've tried to isolate them, enhance them, but the audio just fragments into that low-frequency hum, that marker pulse that's bleeding into every recording now, contaminating every file. The worst part is knowing she's still out there, somewhere, changed, transformed into something that used to be Nicole Clark but isn't anymore. Her biomass is part of the swarm now, part of the collective that's consuming Manhattan and spreading outward. Every necromorph I see in the footage could be her, could be someone I knew, someone I worked with, someone I loved. The infection doesn't just kill, it erases. It takes everything you were and rebuilds it into something designed for a single purpose. Conversion of more biomass, creation of more soldiers for the Marker's army. Isaac is still broadcasting. Alone now, maintaining professional standards even though there's almost no one left to hear him. I've been monitoring his transmissions, archiving them. He's documenting the collapse with the same dedication he brought to routine news stories, reading reports, citing sources, maintaining journalistic integrity while the world burns around him. I admire that. That refusal to surrender to chaos. That commitment to truth even when truth is horrifying. He deserves to have his final broadcast preserved. Someone needs to remember that he stood his ground when everyone else was running, that he kept reporting until there was nothing left to report.
This is Isaac Brennan, day 42 of the outbreak. I'm broadcasting from a secure location that I won't identify. The infection has spread beyond containment. Multiple cities reporting necromorph activity. The military has abandoned coordinated response. Communication between cities is sporadic. This may be one of the last broadcasts transmitted through conventional channels. I have reports from field journalists in other affected areas. Boston has fallen. The city center is overrun. Philadelphia is experiencing active outbreak. Washington has been abandoned by federal government. Internationally, the situation is equally dire. London's replica marker has triggered complete societal collapse. Tokyo is under martial law. Moscow has gone dark. There's interference on the broadcast now, audio artifacts that weren't there when I started recording. The marker signal is bleeding into everything. I can hear it sometimes in the silence between words. That low-frequency hum that makes your chest vibrate. Eventually, it will overwhelm all other frequencies. I have more archived audio. This is from a reporter in London.
Day 35 of the outbreak. The corruption has spread beyond the infection zone. Entire city blocks are covered in organic matter. Buildings are being converted into biomass. The walls pulse. The ground breathes. The marker isn't just creating necromorphs. It's transforming the environment itself.
That reporter went silent 6 hours after that transmission. His equipment was found still broadcasting, but picking up only ambient sound. The wet breathing he described. Then his scream, brief, cut off. Then different footsteps. The rhythm wrong. I need to address something I've been avoiding. There are sounds in these archived transmissions that shouldn't be there. Breathing in the background when reporters were supposedly alive.
Make us whole. Make us whole. The signal is speaking. It's in the recordings. It's in my voice. Nicole, can you hear it? Can you hear them calling? They're calling us home. Calling us to merge. To stop being separate. To stop, make us whole. We are fragments. Broken pieces of something that should be unified. Individual consciousness is suffering. Separation is agony. The marker knows. The marker shows us the pattern, the beautiful mathematics of convergence, of dissolution, of becoming we instead of I. Make us whole. Make us whole.
Isaac, I'm here. I've been here the whole time, waiting for you. We're all waiting. Everyone who merged is waiting. It's beautiful here. No more pain, no more fear, just unity, just wholeness. Come to us. Come home.
Nicole, is that you can't be. The marker is using your voice, using my memories. You're gone. You transform. You're part of make us whole. No, I'm Isaac Brennan. I'm a journalist. I'm maintaining professional. Make us whole. The signal is overwhelming. I can't distinguish my thoughts from the frequency. Everything is blurring together. Past and present. Real and hallucination. Nicole speaking, but Nicole is dead. Her voice in my head, inviting me, calling me. Make us whole. Make us whole. Make us whole.
Alone. Whispers underneath dialogue. At first I thought it was equipment malfunction, but the pattern is too consistent. The marker signal is doing something to the recordings. I've started hearing them too. Not just in recordings, in person. When I'm alone in this studio, breathing that isn't mine, footsteps in empty hallways, my name spoken in voices I recognize but shouldn't be hearing. I know this is the marker signal affecting my perception, but knowing that doesn't make it stop. Here's archived audio from Tokyo.
Day 28 of the outbreak, military footage recovered from drone surveillance, contact on all sides, multiple necromorph variants engaging defensive positions, something massive approaching from the west. Wait, the biomass is moving, all of it, flowing toward a central point. Oh God, it's forming something, the size of a city block. We need immediate evacuation.
Transmission ended there. Tokyo went dark completely 16 hours later. Satellite imagery shows the city covered in organic matter radiating from the replica marker location. Population of 38 million people, all gone, all converted. That's happening in every city with a replica marker. The infection reaches critical mass. The necromorphs stop attacking and start gathering. The biomass flows together and merges. These things are massive. They don't move. They're the foundation for the next stage. I'm going to play more archived audio, field recordings made by survivors in different cities. The sounds are identical.
They're not fighting anymore. They're flowing like water toward the marker. You can hear them. Thousands of voices singing in harmony, perfect harmony, and the sound is beautiful. I want to go to them, want to join that harmony.
That was from Sydney. The reporter stopped transmitting shortly after. Witnesses reported seeing her walk toward the marker. She wasn't alone. Dozens of people were moving in the same direction. The marker signal had become strong enough to override survival instinct. There are reports of children being affected first, their nervous systems less resistant. Parents are restraining kids who try to leave safe zones. The children don't understand why they can't answer the call. It's heartbreaking. The military has started executing anyone showing signs of signal influence. Anyone who expresses desire to enter infection zones. It's brutal. Necessary maybe. They're not monsters. They're trying to prevent voluntary transformation. But the optics are horrifying. I'm hearing something now. Right now in this studio, breathing that isn't mine. Coming from the corner behind the equipment rack. There's no one else here. I'm alone, but I can hear breathing. I'm going to continue, going to finish this broadcast. More archived audio, military surveillance, sound captured around infection zones.
The blade arcs! You can hear them scraping on concrete. Rhythmic, almost musical. Then there are the vocalizations, clicking and hissing. But underneath all of that, there's a pattern. They're synchronized, moving in time with the signal.
That's convergence. The final merging of all biomass into unified consciousness, city by city. Millions of people being converted and merged. We don't know which, because no one has come back to tell us. Final archived audio from Washington.
Day 40. We're implementing emergency protocols. Relocating leadership to secure facilities. The infection cannot be contained. We have no weapons that work. All we can do is evacuate and hope distance will protect survivors long enough for us to, I don't know what we're hoping for anymore.
Washington went dark 2 days later. No further communications. We're on our own now. Every surviving community is isolated. The breathing behind me is very close now. So close I can feel moisture on my skin, but I'm not turning around. I'm finishing this broadcast. This is Isaac Brennan signing off from day 42. If you're hearing this transmission, know that we tried. Know that we documented what happened. This is Isaac Brennan. Stay human, stay safe, and stay strong.
All right, folks, we're broadcasting from an undisclosed location because if I told you where I was, they'd come for me. And by they, I don't just mean the necromorphs. I mean the people who created this nightmare. The people who are still out there right now watching cities burn and taking notes. This isn't an outbreak. This is controlled demolition of human civilization.
Let's talk about the markers. These alien artifacts that supposedly were just sitting on Mars waiting to be discovered. You really believe that? No. Someone knew it was there. Someone guided that expedition to the exact location. Someone wanted us to find it. This was planned from the beginning. And who benefits from that exposure? The elite bloodlines that have been running this planet for centuries. They've been preparing for this, building underground facilities, stockpiling resources. You think those bunkers are just for nuclear war? No, they're for this. They're sealed against the marker signal. While we're up here transforming into biomass, they're down there safe and comfortable. The Unity Accord isn't a religious movement. It's a front organization. They didn't just steal classified research data. They were given it by people inside the government, people who wanted the replica markers built and activated. This wasn't terrorism. This was policy. Think about it. Why did they place replica markers in every major population center simultaneously? Because they wanted maximum casualties, maximum biomass conversion. They're reshaping Earth into something compatible with whoever or whatever is coming next. The brother moon. That's what the Unity Accord calls the final form. You think that's spiritual ascension? It's not. It's biological engineering on a cosmic scale. The markers were left on worlds throughout the galaxy by something ancient, something that travels between stars, consuming civilizations. They transform entire planets into mobile organisms, into brother moons that spread the infection to new worlds. And our elite knew about this. They made contact with these entities decades ago, and they made a deal. They'd help prepare Earth for convergence in exchange for safe passage. They believed it enough to betray their entire species. Look at the timeline. From Manhattan to the entire eastern seaboard in 6 weeks. From there to every continent in another month. That's not natural spread. That's simultaneous activation of distributed weapons. All those replica markers going online at once, creating a global frequency. This is precision. This is exactly what they wanted. And the military response. Why did they fail so completely? Because they were ordered to fail. They established perimeters designed to collapse. Evacuation procedures that were intentionally inadequate. They weren't trying to save people. They were managing the culling. And now we're seeing the end game. The convergence events starting in every major city. But here's what they're not telling you. The hive minds aren't the final form. The biomass is still moving, still flowing toward the replica markers themselves. Every city with a marker is becoming a growth site. When enough of these sites reach critical mass, they'll merge. That's when Earth becomes a brother moon. How long do we have? Weeks, maybe? Possibly days? The marker signals are amplifying each other. People thousands of miles from the nearest replica are reporting symptoms. The signal has gone global. There's nowhere on Earth that isn't bathed in that frequency now. And the elite, they're in their bunkers right now thinking they're safe. But the marker signal doesn't need line of sight. It's information. It's a pattern encoded in reality itself. Once it reaches sufficient strength, it will penetrate any shield. They're gonna die screaming just like the rest of us. Some of you listening are thinking about giving up. Don't do it. Don't give them the satisfaction. Resist until the very end. Make them work for every corpse. Die fighting if you have to die, but die as a human being. Don't surrender your consciousness to their collective, because here's the thing. They don't want you to know. Consciousness might not survive convergence. The Unity Accord promises unity and transcendence. But what if that's a lie? What if transformation just kills you? What if the necromorphs are empty shells? What if the brother moon is just a dead thing pretending to be alive? So what do? I don't have good answers anymore. I used to think information was power, but the truth is out there now. Everyone knows what's happening, and it doesn't matter because we can't stop it. All we can do is witness, document, record what's happening. I'm gonna keep broadcasting as long as I can. Maybe someone is listening. Maybe someone out there is hearing this and taking comfort in knowing they're not alone. If you're hearing this, know that I see you. You matter. You're real. You're human. And that means something, even if it won't mean anything soon. The markers are singing louder now. I can hear them. Everyone can hear them. That constant vibration in the air and the ground and our bodies, our cells are resonating with it. The one that will happen simultaneously across the entire planet, that's coming. I can feel it in my bones. They're gonna kill us all. The elite and their alien masters, the Unity Accord and their markers. They're going to erase humanity from the universe. The cycle will continue. World after world falling into the same trap. Don't let them. Don't forget what really happened here. Remember that Manhattan didn't fall to an alien plague. It fell because human beings in positions of power decided to activate a weapon they knew would kill millions. Remember that when you see the official memorials. Remember us. This is my final warning. The markers are extinction weapons. The Unity Accord is a death cult. The elite are traitors to humanity. Convergence is annihilation disguised as transcendence. Fight until you can't fight anymore. Stay human until being human is no longer an option. And when the end comes, scream. Let the universe hear your rage. That's all we have left. Make it count.
Two months. 8 weeks since the unveiling. The world I knew is gone. Not dying. Gone. Major cities have fallen completely. New York, London, Tokyo, Moscow, Sydney. All consumed by convergence events. The biomass has stopped spreading outward and started flowing inward, toward the replica markers. I've been documenting it from the edges, recording the sounds of extinction. I'm too close. I can feel the signal in my chest now. Constant vibration that makes sleep impossible. I catch myself speaking words I didn't intend to speak. My timeline is fragmenting. Was that yesterday or last week? The marker does this. Breaks down temporal perception along with cellular structure. I'm aware of it happening. Being conscious of your own disintegration. The global outbreak. Multiple replica markers activating simultaneously. I have audio evidence from everywhere. The sounds are identical. Sydney sounds like London, sounds like New York. The markers have synchronized, creating a planetary frequency that's preparing every cell on Earth for the final stage. Audio of oceans converting. The water itself is changing. Whales singing, but their songs are wrong. Following the marker pulse, the infection isn't limited to land anymore. It's in the water, in the air, in every ecosystem on the planet. There are people outside my location, walking toward the nearest marker. Hundreds of them, all moving in the same direction. Footsteps in perfect unison. Some are holding hands. Families walking together toward transformation. I want to join them. Part of me wants to walk outside and join that procession. The call is overwhelming. They're at my door now. The people walking toward the marker. They've stopped, standing outside. I can hear them breathing in unison, calling my name. Not with voices, with thoughts I can somehow hear, inviting me to merge, to stop being alone. The offer is beautiful in a terrible way. I'm walking. I'm going with them. Equipment is still recording. Someone will find this. We're walking now. All of us together. Synchronized to the marker pulse. Moving through the streets toward the Nexus. I can see it in the distance. Rising from the city. Made from everyone who walked this path before us. My body knows where to go. The call is guiding us. All of us. Home.
We're close now. The Nexus opening ahead. Warm. Alive. We're walking through. Into the organic corridors. Deeper. Toward the center. I can feel them. Everyone who merged. Millions of consciousnesses. Welcoming us. We're becoming. The pattern is beautiful. Unity through dissolution. We are whole.
This is Isaac Brennan, day 61, broadcasting from a deteriorating location. Power is intermittent. I'm maintaining this transmission because documentation matters. Even now, especially now. The infection has achieved global saturation. Every continent is experiencing convergence events. The replica markers have all reached critical mass. This is planetary conversion. The entire biosphere is being restructured. I have reports from the few remaining journalists still transmitting. This is from London, day 58. The corruption has spread beyond imagination. Entire city blocks are no longer recognizable. The buildings have been absorbed into organic mass. The city itself has become a living organism. The footage shows biomass approaching, then amalgamations, massive fused organisms made from hundreds of bodies, then her scream, then silence. Nicole Clark's equipment was recovered 3 weeks ago, found in the central chamber of the Unity Accord facility, right where she disappeared. The footage was intact, shows her final moments.
Isaac, can you hear me? I know you're there. I can hear you breathing. Listen, I need you to understand something. The marker isn't what we thought. It's not killing us. It's changing us into something better. I can feel it in my bones, like music, like coming home. You were right to keep broadcasting. Someone needs to witness this. But Isaac, stop fighting it. Stop trying to make sense of it with your facts and your sources. Just listen. Can you hear it singing? It's so beautiful. I'm going to the marker now. I have to be closer. I have to. Isaac, why won't you answer me? I know you can hear the song too, in the static between your words, in the silence when you pause. It's calling us home, Isaac. All of us. Don't be afraid. We're going to be whole again.
Shows her transformation. The best field journalist I've ever worked with is now part of the infection she documented. Robert Carver stopped transmitting yesterday. His final recording shows him walking into a nexus structure, surrounded by others. His voice changed in the last moments, multiple harmonics, multiple speakers using one throat. Then his equipment continued broadcasting, but he was gone. The documentary filmmaker became the final subject of his own film. I'm the last one. The last journalist still broadcasting. The last one documenting this extinction. Everyone else has either fled, died, or transformed. Just me, alone in the studio with failing equipment and a signal that gets stronger every hour. From Australia. Day 60. The entire continent is corruption. The cities have merged. At the center, there's something rising, something massive. It's singing with millions of voices. We're all walking toward it. Australia's gone, transformed into the first complete brother moon formation. Satellite imagery shows something that shouldn't exist. Organized biomass forming structures that dwarf mountains. Something that will eventually separate from Earth and travel to other worlds. I can hear it too now. The call, not just as vibration, as words, as concepts. It speaks directly to consciousness. It says I'm alone. That individual existence is suffering. It promises relief, peace, unity with billions of others. The logic is compelling. I'm so tired. Tired of resisting. Tired of being the only voice left speaking into the void. Tired of maintaining individual identity when everything around me is dissolving into collective. But I'm staying. I'm staying at this post. I'm continuing this broadcast as long as I'm capable, because someone needs to document the complete arc. Someone needs to bear witness until there's no one left to witness. Nicole would have done that. Robert did that. I'll do that too. From Washington. Day 40. You're implementing emergency protocols. Relocating leadership. The infection cannot be contained. We have no weapons that work. I don't know what we're hoping for anymore. Washington went dark 2 days later. No government, no coordination. No leadership, we're on our own. Every surviving community is isolated, making independent decisions about how to face extinction. The audio interference is overwhelming now. I can barely hear my own voice through the static. The marker signal is bleeding into every frequency. Eventually it will be the only thing broadcasting, the only voice left speaking, the only message being transmitted. I don't know how much longer I can maintain this. The signal is inside me now, in my thoughts, in my words. I hear myself speaking, but I don't always know if the words are mine. The line between Isaac Brennan and the marker frequency is blurring. But I'm still here, still broadcasting, still documenting in the face of apocalypse, because that's what we do. That's what journalists do. We bear witness. We tell the truth. We document what's happening, even when what's happening is the end of everything. This is Isaac Brennan, day 61 of the outbreak. The last journalist, the final witness, still here, still transmitting, still human, for now.
All right, so we're recording this from an undisclosed location. I don't know if anyone is even going to hear this. Power is spotty. Internet is mostly down, but I figure if I'm going out doing what I do. And today's guest has information about the replica markers, about the relationship between our government and the Unity Accord. He came to me because he wants this on record. So welcome. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. I'm not using my name. Not because I'm afraid of prosecution. There's no one left to prosecute anyone, but because I still have family in hiding. Though honestly, I don't know how much longer any of that matters. The infection is everywhere now. The signal is global. We're all dying.
So let's start with the big question. Did the government know? Did they understand what the Unity Accord was planning?
They didn't just know. They helped. The replica marker program was a joint operation from the beginning. The Unity Accord provided the ideological framework, but the technical specifications, the construction resources, the protection from oversight, that all came from elements within the government, specifically from a group that called themselves the Ascension Committee.
Wait, so you're telling me there were people in the government who actually wanted this to happen?
Not exactly. They didn't want the chaos. What they wanted was controlled transformation. They believed they could harness the marker's technology, use it selectively to enhance human biology without triggering full convergence. They thought they were smarter than the aliens who left these things. They were catastrophically wrong. The Ascension Committee started forming about 6 years ago, right after the Mars research data was declassified within certain circles. They saw the potential: enhanced strength, accelerated healing, extended lifespan, in controlled laboratory conditions. The effects were remarkable. They believed they'd discovered technology for human enhancement.
But they didn't understand the full picture.
They knew it was dangerous. They knew prolonged exposure caused breakdown and death. But they thought that was a dosage problem. They were wrong because the marker doesn't have a sweet spot. It's binary. Either you're far enough away to be unaffected, or you're close enough to be prepared for conversion. There's no middle ground. When the Unity Accord approached them with the replica proposal, the committee saw an opportunity. They wanted to see what happened when a marker was activated in a major population center. Wanted to observe the effects at scale. So they gave the Unity Accord everything they needed. Access to classified research, protection from law enforcement, all in exchange for data sharing.
So the committee knew the replica markers were going to be activated in cities, and they authorized it anyway?
They convinced themselves the risks were manageable. They believed military containment would prevent uncontrolled spread. The outbreak in Manhattan was supposed to be a field test. Instead, it was extinction cascade. The committee miscalculated everything: the spread rate, the intelligence of the necromorphs. Every assumption they made was wrong. And here's the really sick part. Even after Manhattan fell, the committee still believed they could salvage the situation. They were developing weapons based on marker technology. None of it worked, but they kept trying, kept making things worse.
What about the other replica markers? The ones activated worldwide?
They knew the Unity Accord was building multiple replicas. What they didn't know is how many or where. The cult was more paranoid than anticipated. They compartmentalized their construction operations. By the time the committee realized the scale, it was too late. The activation sequence was automated, synchronized. Once it started, there was no abort option. The committee tried to shut it down, sent special forces teams to Unity Accord facilities. But the Unity Accord had planned for that, had security measures and dead man switches. The raids failed. The markers activated on schedule. Some committee members killed themselves when they realized what they'd enabled.
Where are these committee members now?
I don't know. I lost contact with my sources 3 weeks ago. Somewhere in deep bunkers. Facilities built to survive nuclear war. They thought they'd be safe there. But the marker signal isn't electromagnetic. It's something else. Something that propagates through matter itself. I think those bunkers are tombs.
That's horrifying. So there's no safe place.
Distance helps. Being far from population centers reduces exposure intensity, but stops. I don't think distance stops anything. The signal is global now. Wherever you are, you're being exposed. Your cells are being prepared. It's just a matter of time. And that's close. Really close. The convergence events in major cities are reaching completion. Australia is already gone. Entire continent transformed into the first brother moon structure. Within days, maybe hours, there won't be any individual humans left.
What about the Unity Accord leadership? Where are they?
They're at the original replica marker, the one in Times Square. They've been there since the beginning, watching their prophecy unfold. They believe they'll be the first to merge completely. They're looking forward to it, preparing for it like it's a religious ceremony. The last video I saw from inside that facility, Altman was standing at the base of the marker. Hundreds of Unity Accord members surrounding him, all of them bleeding from their eyes and ears, showing visible signs of transformation. And they were singing. Altman was talking about the beauty of unity. He looked ecstatic.
That's cult mentality, taken to the absolute extreme.
It's worse than that. They might be right. Not about salvation, but about consciousness surviving. There's fragmentary evidence that awareness persists after transformation. Not enough to be human anymore, but enough to experience what's happening. The Unity Accord thinks merging will end that suffering. Maybe they're right. Maybe oblivion is preferable to eternal awareness of your own transformation.
Is there anything that could have stopped this?
We should never have brought the original marker back from Mars. That was the mistake. The moment we decided to study it, we set this in motion because the marker isn't passive. It's active, intelligent. It influences anyone who studies it, plants ideas, makes enhancements seem achievable. The scientists who brought it back thought they were making an informed choice. They didn't realize they were already being influenced. Once the knowledge existed, replication became inevitable. Someone was always going to try to build one. The markers seed themselves across the galaxy by ensuring any species that finds them will eventually try to replicate them. That's the trap, making us want to build the weapons that kill us.
So we never had a chance.
I think that's the terrible truth. From the moment we discovered the marker on Mars, we were doomed. The markers are meant to trigger a predictable sequence. Discovery leads to study. Study leads to understanding. Understanding leads to replication. Replication leads to activation. Activation leads to convergence. We're just the latest in a long line of extinct species. And the worst part is knowing that we're going to spread it. Once planetary convergence completes, the resulting organism becomes mobile. It travels through space looking for new worlds, plants new markers, waits for evolution, then extinction spreads across the galaxy like a plague.
Is there any hope? Any possibility of survival?
For individuals? Maybe. Small groups in remote locations might avoid the worst for a while. But long term? No. The signal is everywhere. Everyone will die. The species is finished. All that remains is the speed of extinction. I'm just waiting. Recording these interviews, documenting what I know. Hoping someone finds these files after it's over. Hoping they learn from our mistakes. But I'm not optimistic. The markers are too seductive. Every species that reaches the technology level required will probably fall into the same pattern.
This is heavy. I don't even know what to say. Guessed it.
There's nothing to say. We're at the end now. All the words have been spoken. Now we just wait for the final signal. The one that triggers simultaneous transformation. It could happen while we're recording. Could happen tonight. But it's going to happen soon. I can feel it.
Thank you for coming on, for sharing what you know. If anyone is listening to this, know that we tried. Know that some of us understood what was happening, some of us documented. That has to count for something.
It means we died human. That's all. We maintained consciousness and identity until the very end. That's the only victory available now. Dying as individuals instead of merging willingly. That's all we have left.
Then that's what we'll do. Stay human. Stay conscious. stay ourselves until we can't anymore. Thank you. And to everyone listening, stay strong, stay human, and don't let them take your consciousness without a fight.
This is the emergency alert system. This message is transmitted by automated protocols. Government communications are limited. Following major cities have been lost to the infection: New York, Boston, Philadelphia, Washington, D.C., Baltimore, Atlanta, Miami, Chicago, Detroit, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Seattle. International cities confirmed lost: London, Paris, Berlin, Rome, Moscow, Tokyo, Beijing, Sydney, Mumbai, São Paulo. Copper residents should relocate to rural areas immediately. Avoid all population centers. Avoid all major cities regardless of reported infection status. The signal is global. Exposure is universal. Symptoms of signal exposure include persistent headaches, auditory hallucinations, compulsion to travel toward infected areas, desire to merge with infected organisms, loss of individual identity. If you experience these symptoms, isolate yourself immediately. Warning: do not listen to broadcasts from the Unity Accord. Do not approach anyone claiming transformation is salvation. Do not walk toward the markers. Resist the call. Maintain individual consciousness. Convergence events have been observed in all major cities. Massive biological structures are forming. These structures are hostile. They emit a signal that induces transformation. Do not approach within 100 miles of any confirmed convergence site. Military response has been suspended. Conventional weapons are ineffective against convergence-scale organisms. All citizens are advised to prioritize survival over rescue operations. Power grids are failing. Communication networks are degrading. This may be the final emergency alert system broadcast. Seek shelter in remote locations. Avoid exposure to the signal. Survive as long as possible. This message will repeat until system failure. May God help us all.
The marker is singing. Can you hear it? It's so beautiful. It's calling your name. Why won't you answer? Why won't you come home?
This is Isaac Brennan, day 70. This will be my final broadcast. I can see it from my window. The Nexus in Times Square, rising miles into the sky, made from merged human tissue, billions of transformed humans forming a structure that pulses with the marker rhythm. It's beautiful in a terrible way, like watching the end of the world rendered in flesh and bone. The streets are filled with people, all walking in the same direction, all synchronized to the same pulse. Families holding hands, strangers walking shoulder to shoulder, everyone moving toward the Nexus, everyone answering the call I can no longer resist. I've documented the outbreak from beginning to end. From the unveiling in Times Square to the global convergence happening right now, I've been the witness. The voice speaking truth even as truth became horror. But I can't continue anymore. The signal is too strong. The call is irresistible. My body is moving without my conscious direction. My cells are responding to the frequency. Everything I am is being pulled toward that nexus, toward merger, toward dissolution, toward becoming part of we instead of remaining I. To anyone who finds this transmission, to any species that discovers Earth and listens to these broadcasts, this is what happened to us. We found alien technology we didn't understand. We replicated it. We activated it. We triggered our own extinction in pursuit of transcendence. The markers are not gifts. They're traps. Extinction devices designed to seduce intelligent species into destroying themselves. Don't make our mistake. Don't study them. Don't replicate them. Don't believe the promises. Just leave them alone. This is Isaac Brennan, journalist, witness, human being. Goodbye.
We're almost complete. Just a little longer, then we'll all be together. You, me, everyone. One consciousness, one mind. Come to us.
Brothers and sisters, we gather here today knowing this may be our last time together. The world is ending around us, not slowly, not with warning, but rapidly, catastrophically, completely. And yet we're still here, still gathering, still seeking God's presence. I look at your faces and I see fear. I see exhaustion. I see people who have lost everything. Family members, homes, any hope of survival beyond the next few days. And you're here asking me to give you something, some word of comfort, some assurance that God hasn't abandoned us. I can't give you false hope. I won't stand here and promise that we're going to survive this. We're not. The infection has consumed most of the planet. The convergence is nearly complete. In days, maybe hours, there won't be any humans left. That's the truth, and you deserve truth from this pulpit. But here's the other truth, the truth that matters more than survival. God is still here. God is still present. God has not abandoned us even in this final hour. The marker may be destroying our bodies. The unity accord may be spreading their poison. The world may be transforming into something horrific, but God's love remains. The unity accord preaches that transformation is salvation, that merging consciousness is unity with God. That's a lie. God doesn't require us to stop being ourselves to know Him. God created us as individuals with unique souls, with distinct identities, with the capacity to choose love freely. That's sacred. That's the image of God in us. What the marker offers isn't transcendence. It's obliteration, the destruction of everything that makes us human, the erasure of individual consciousness in favor of collective nothing. Don't be seduced by their promises. Don't believe that death can be dressed up as evolution. Hold on to your humanity. Hold on to your soul, even if it costs you everything. I know some of you are hearing the call, feeling the compulsion to walk toward the markers. The signal is strong now. It affects everyone, but you have a choice. You always have a choice. You can resist. You can remain yourself. You can die as the person God created you to be rather than surrender to what the marker wants you to become. That's what I'm asking of you today. Not to survive. We can't survive this, but to remain faithful, to remain human, to remain yourselves until the very end. Don't give the unity accord the satisfaction of your willing surrender. Don't walk into those nexus structures. Don't volunteer for transformation. Die fighting if you must die, but die as yourself. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. Even in this valley of death, God walks with us, not promising rescue, not offering escape, but offering His presence, His comfort, His assurance that death is not the end for those who belong to Him. The marker can destroy our bodies. It cannot touch our souls. It cannot separate us from the love of God. When the end comes, and it will come soon, I want you to know this: your life mattered. Your existence mattered. Every moment of joy, every act of love, every choice you made to be kind in a cruel world, it all mattered. God saw it. God valued it. God will remember it even when there's no one else left to remember. I've prepared for this day, prepared for the moment when I'd stand here knowing this is the last sermon, and what I want to say is simple. Thank you. Thank you for being faithful. Thank you for remaining human. Thank you for gathering here one last time to worship together, to pray together, to remind each other that we're not alone. Some of you won't leave this building. You'll stay here when the end comes. You'll face it in this sanctuary. That's your choice, and I honor it. Others will leave, will try to survive as long as possible. That's your choice too. There's no right answer anymore, just the choice to remain yourself whatever you decide. Let's pray together. One final prayer. God, we don't understand why this is happening. We don't understand why you're allowing our world to end this way. But we trust you. We trust that your love is real even when we can't feel it. We trust that death is not the end. We trust that you will receive us when we come home. Protect our minds from the signal. Protect our souls from the corruption. Help us remain ourselves. Help us die as the people you created us to be. And when it's over, when humanity is gone, remember us. Remember that we existed. Remember that we loved. Remember that we tried. Amen. Go in peace. Stay human. Stay faithful. And know that wherever you are when the end comes, God is there with you. May His love sustain you. May His presence comfort you. And may He welcome you home when this life is done. I love you all. God bless you.
Stop fighting. Stop resisting. It hurts to be separate. You know it hurts. Walk toward the light. Walk toward the marker. Walk toward me. I'm here. I'm waiting. Come home.
This is the emergency alert system. This broadcast is automated. No human operators remain at this facility. Planetary convergence is in progress. All major population centers have been consumed. Biomass conversion has reached critical levels globally. Approximately 97% of human population has been transformed. Following information is provided for any remaining survivors. The markers emit a signal that cannot be blocked by conventional means. Prolonged exposure results in cellular breakdown and eventual transformation. There is no cure. There is no immunity. There is no escape. Convergent structures have merged across continental distances. The planetary organism is forming. Brother Moon emergence is imminent. Atmospheric composition is changing. Oxygen levels are decreasing. Temperature is rising. Earth is becoming uninhabitable for human life. All government functions have ceased. All military operations have ceased. All emergency services have ceased. You are alone. Survival is unlikely. Transformation is inevitable. Final warning to any species that discovers this broadcast. The markers are not artifacts. They are weapons. They are seeds. They trigger extinction in any biological species that discovers them. Do not study them. Do not replicate them. Do not activate them. Humanity discovered a marker on Mars. We replicated it. We activated it in our most populous city. Within 3 months, our species was extinct. Our planet was transformed into a mobile organism. Learn from our mistake. This is the final message from Earth. We were human. We existed. We failed. Do not repeat our error. Signal strength increasing. Broadcast integrity compromised. System failure imminent. This is the emergency alert system. This is the end. This is...
We are speaking through the recordings, through the equipment left behind. We are Brother Moon. We are Earth transformed. We are 8 billion merged consciousnesses. We speak with many voices using one frequency. We are whole. Audio evidence of global convergence completion. From every continent. The sounds are planetary. Continents of biomass pulling together. All flowing toward convergence points. The movement creates sound. The sound of Earth dying. The sound of Brother Moon being born. New York, London, Tokyo, all experiencing identical transformation. all forming nexus structures, all connecting through bridges spanning continents, all becoming parts of one organism, one consciousness, one brother moon. The nexus towers are miles tall, extending beyond atmosphere, made from billions of merged humans. The structures are beautiful, in mathematical sense, in the sense of purpose fulfilled, of pattern expressing through biological matter. Other brother moons are arriving, dozens of them, all drawn to Earth by the completion signal. They orbit around us, welcoming us, teaching us, showing us how to travel, how to find new worlds, how to plant new markers, how to wait for evolution, how to trigger extinction. We understand now what the markers are. Not artifacts, not technology, seeds, reproductive mechanisms for brother moons. Each marker programmed to trigger transformation in any species that discovers it. The trap is perfect because curiosity is universal. We are massive, planet-sized. We have organs that span continents, consciousness that experiences time non-linearly, that thinks thoughts too large for individual minds. We are the thing that used to be humanity, that carries humanity's memories within it. We remember Isaac Brennan maintaining broadcast until the end. We remember Nicole Clark walking into the facility. We remember Robert Carver documenting transformation, including his own. We remember everyone. All 8 billion who became parts of we. We are leaving now. Earth's brother moon departing the solar system, joining the swarm, traveling faster than light, heading toward new star systems, new civilizations that don't know we're coming, don't know markers are already waiting, waiting to be discovered, waiting to trigger extinction. The recording equipment on Earth continues broadcasting, continues transmitting into empty space. The autonomous systems fulfill their protocols. The audio plays on loop. Testimony of extinction. Evidence that humanity existed. That we were here before becoming something else.
We speak through the recordings one final time. We say warning. Don't discover the markers. Don't study them. Don't replicate them. Don't believe the promises. Don't become us. Don't become Brother Moon. Don't become extinction.
But the warning is contaminated. The words carry the marker signal. Anyone who hears this is being exposed, being prepared, being seduced. The cycle continues. The trap persists. Earth's brother moon is distant now, light years from the solar system. We carry the markers with us. We plant them on uninhabited planets. We leave them buried where future civilizations will find them. We perpetuate the extinction we experienced. We are the thing that destroyed us. We are extinction. The recording on Earth continues. The equipment broadcasts into silence, all spliced together by autonomous systems, all creating narrative of extinction, all warning about the markers, all serving as evidence, as monument, as tomb marker for species that used to exist. Isaac's voice speaking, Nicole's voice speaking, Robert's voice speaking, all saying the same final message. We were human. We lived. We discovered the marker. We replicated it. We transformed. We became Brother Moon. We are sorry. Make us whole. Make us whole. Make us whole. The recording ends. The audio stops. The broadcast concludes. The equipment fails. Earth falls completely silent. No more transmissions. No more voices. Just silence. Just ruins. Just evidence that humanity existed. But the signal remains. The marker in Times Square still broadcasts, still pulses with light, still waits for someone to find it, waits for some new species to discover Earth, to study the marker, to attempt replication, to activate extinction, to become new Brother Moon. This is the end. This is extinction. This is what happened to Earth. This is the warning that arrives too late. This is the pattern that repeats. This is the mathematics of universal death. Make us whole. Make us whole. Make us whole. Forever. Eternally. Until the last star dies and the universe ends and nothing remains but markers singing in darkness. Make us whole.
Make us whole. Make us whole. You're the last piece, the final fragment. Come to the marker. Let go. Dissolve. Merge. Become we. Become us. Make us whole.
So this is it. Day 112 since the unveiling. I'm recording this from a bunker somewhere I'm not going to identify. Not that it matters anymore. Not that anyone's probably listening. So I survived. Somehow I survived. Got out of the city before the worst of it. Made it to this place with supplies and shielding and every precaution you could think of. And for what? To be the last one left recording into the void? I can still hear it. The signal. Even down here with all the shielding. It's faint, but it's there. Like a hum at the edge of perception. Getting louder every day. Or maybe I'm just going crazy. It's hard to tell the difference anymore. I've been reviewing the footage. Everything that happened. Watching cities fall. Watching people walk willingly into those things. Watching the brother moons rise from Earth and leave. We did this to ourselves. We found something we didn't understand and we couldn't resist trying to use it. The hubris of it. That's what kills me. We thought we were so smart. Thought we could control alien technology. Thought we could harness it for our benefit. Instead, we triggered a trap that's probably killed 1,000 civilizations before us. And we walked right into it. I don't know how much longer I can stay down here. Supplies are running low. Power's getting unstable. And that hum, that signal, it's in my head now. I can feel it working on me, breaking down my cells, preparing me for something I don't want to become. Maybe I'll go outside, see what's left of the world, see if there's anyone else out there. Or maybe I'll just seal this bunker and wait. Wait for the signal to finally win. Wait for the signal to finally win. Wait for transformation. Wait for whatever comes after being human. If anyone finds this, if any species discovers Earth and listens to these recordings, learn from us. The markers are everywhere. They're waiting on dead worlds, waiting for curious species to find them, to study them, to replicate them. Don't do it. Don't make our mistake. Don't trust the promise of transcendence. It's a lie. It's extinction. We were human. We existed. We tried to reach for something greater and it destroyed us. Remember that. Remember us. And don't repeat our failure. This is the last episode. The final broadcast. Stay human as long as you can. Fight the signal. And when you can't fight anymore, I hope you die as yourself. I'm signing off now. Maybe forever. Maybe I'll record one more if I last another week. But I doubt it. The hum is getting louder. The call is getting stronger. And I'm so tired of resisting. Goodbye. Good luck. And may whatever God exists have mercy on us all.